Chapter 1. Birth of the Chosen One. On that fateful night, Hidden Leaf Village was plunged into chaos. The nine-tailed fox demon, freed from its seal, went on a rampage, destroying everything in its path. The shinobi's wars against the beast did not bring success. The Kyuubi's destructive attacks broke through any barriers, taking the lives of innocents. The village's only hope lay with its Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Minato and his wife Kushina Uzumaki were faced with a choice: sacrifice themselves for the sake of the village or allow chaos to destroy everything they loved. They made a decision. Using the power of the divine seal, Minato sealed the Nine Tails into the body of his newborn son, Naruto. This was the only solution that could save the village. When the seal was completed, everyone expected Naruto to become a regular Jinchuriki, but something strange happened. The seal didn't just hold the Kyuubi's power, it began to change the child himself. The chakra of the boy and the demon began to intertwine, forming something new, unpredictable. A few moments after the ritual, something happened that made everyone hold their breath. Naruto's skin changed color. It became snow white, as if personifying purity and absolute strength. Tattoos in the shape of 9 tomo began to appear on his body, radiating from his stomach where the seal was placed. The Kyuubi and Naruto's chakra seemed to unite, creating a unique symbiosis. "Minato, what is this?" the weakened Kushina said with difficulty, looking at her son with alarm and surprise. "I don't know," Minato whispered, but there was fear in his voice. This has never happened before. But there was no time left for reflection. Kushina's life was fading. She took Naruto in her arms, looking into his unusual eyes that glowed as if the universe itself was reflected in them. "Naruto, you will live for us. You are strong, stronger than any of us could ever imagine." Minato sealed her last words in his heart before sacrificing himself to finally activate the seal. The village was saved, but its future became uncertain. Chapter 2. The mystery of the boy with white skin continued. Naruto's life was full of loneliness. Children avoided him, adults shunned him, and the rare glances cast in his direction were filled with fear or contempt. Every day he asked himself the same question: why am I like this? What's wrong with me? There were no answers, and this feeling of misunderstanding only deepened his loneliness. But every day, Naruto felt more and more that his body and chakra behaved differently than others. Sometimes his hands would spontaneously glow with a golden glow, and his tomo tattoos would begin to pulsate. During such moments, he felt a surge of power, but did not know how to control it. It seemed to him that there was something alive inside him, something that wanted to break out. One night, when the moon was especially bright, Naruto went into the forest on the outskirts of the village. This was his secret place where he felt free. Here he could scream, run, throw stones, and no one looked at him with condemnation. "Why am I not like everyone else?" he whispered, sitting under a huge tree. His eyes looked at the stars, but they gave him no answers. Suddenly a strange sensation ran through his body. His chest seemed to ignite from the inside, causing him to fall to the ground. The tattoos on his body began to glow, and a bright glow erupted from his stomach, where the seal was located. Naruto felt something huge come to life inside of him. "You've finally begun to understand who you are, boy," said a deep voice. Naruto froze. The voice did not come from outside, but from inside his head. He turned around, but everything around him was empty. "Who is this?" he asked, trembling. "Who are you?" "I am a part of you. I am the one who was sealed inside you on the day you were born. You call me Kyuubi." Naruto's eyes widened. He knew the legends of the nine-tailed demon fox, but he couldn't believe that this creature was talking to him. "Why are you here? Why in me?" Naruto asked, but his voice was shaking. "You are more than just a vessel, boy. Your destiny is far greater than you can imagine. But to do this, you need to learn to use the power that I gave you." The light on Naruto's body faded, and Kyuubi's voice disappeared, leaving the boy in a daze. He didn't know what that meant, but he knew one thing: his life would never be the same again. Chapter 3. Awakening. The morning after a late-night conversation with a mysterious voice inside his mind started out uneasily for Naruto. The events of the previous night had left him feeling uneasy, but what bothered him the most was the bright light that came from his body and the Kyuubi's words. They echoed in his head. "You are more than just a vessel." He could not understand what this message meant, but something inside him told him that everything would change soon. That day, Naruto decided to go to the training ground where the shinobi of the village were practicing their techniques. He was not allowed to participate in training with other children, but sometimes he watched from afar, trying to imitate their movements. Despite his loneliness, he never lost hope of becoming strong and one day proving to everyone that he was not a demon, but a shinobi worthy of respect. This time he decided to try to make the shadow clone technique that he had often seen others use. He concentrated his chakra, formed a seal with his hands and shouted, "Shadow cloning technique!" Emptiness. No flash, no clone, just a slight tingling sensation in my hands. He tried again, then again. Each time the result was the same. Finally, exhausted and angry with himself, he collapsed to the ground. "Why am I so useless?" he muttered, clutching the grass with his hands. At that moment, he felt the same tingling sensation, but it became stronger. The Tomo tattoos began to glow with a faint orange light, as if responding to his emotions. Naruto jumped up, not understanding what was happening. Everything went dark before my eyes, and a familiar deep voice was heard inside my head. "You're angry because you're not using the power that's hidden within you. Can't you feel it? You are trying to be like others instead of becoming yourself." Naruto began, but a voice interrupted him. "Show me what you can do, boy. Release your rage." At that moment, 3 older students appeared from the other side of the training ground and noticed Naruto. They had long considered him an outcast and saw in him only an object for ridicule. "Hey, demon, what are you doing here?" shouted one of them, a tall guy with ash-colored hair. "Have you decided that you can become a shinobi?" The others laughed as they came closer. Naruto clenched his fists, but remained silent, trying not to pay attention. He knew there was no point in arguing. "Look, it's glowing. Maybe he will turn into a monster now?" continued the second, pointing to his shining tattoos. The laughter spurred Naruto on. He wanted to leave, but one of them grabbed him by the shoulder, roughly turning him towards him. "Listen here, demon," the guy began, but didn't have time to finish. A flash of chakra erupted from Naruto's body, throwing the guy several meters back. The other 2 froze, stunned. Naruto felt an unknown force filling him, and the light from the tattoos was becoming brighter. His eyes sparkled like 2 stars, and a bright orange glow appeared in front of him in the shape of a clawed hand. "What is this?" one of the students croaked, stepping back. Naruto didn't know the answer himself. His heart was pounding, and the chakra that came out of his body was unbridled. It enveloped him like a cloak and gave him a feeling of strength that he had never experienced before. Kyuubi's voice sounded in his head again. "This is your true nature, boy. Accept it." The 3 students took off running, leaving Naruto alone on the field. He stood in the middle of a scorched patch of grass, trying to calm the energy seething within. Gradually, the light faded, and his body returned to its normal state. But he no longer felt the same. Returning home, Naruto sat on his bed and thought. He didn't know what to do with this power, and was afraid that one day it might get out of control. However, he understood one thing. He was no longer just a child. This power made him something greater than he himself could comprehend. Chapter 4: Call of Power. The wind swept through the forest, shaking the leaves on the trees, as if warning of what was to come. When Naruto activated his power, a wave of it swept through like a hurricane, filling the forest with a bright burst of chakra. The trees bowed under this pressure, and the animals fled away, feeling an inexplicable threat. The echo of this power reached the far corners of the world, where even the most experienced shinobi involuntarily became wary. In the Akatsuki lair, hidden in the mountains, the silence was broken by a sharp flow of energy. One of the members, Kakuzu, looked up sharply, his gaze darkening. "What was that?" he muttered, feeling the chakra literally burning through space. Next to him sat Itachi Uchiha, who closed his eyes, concentrating. His sharingan allowed him to pick up details that others couldn't. He exhaled quietly. It's not just chakra. Her nature is unstable, but her power. It is similar to the power of tailed beasts, and it seems to come from Konoha. Sasori, standing in the shadows, chuckled. "Perhaps this is our next Jinchuriki. If there really is such power there, it must belong to us." Their conversation was interrupted by the steps of the Akatsuki leader. Entering the hall, Pain measured them with a cold gaze. "You felt it. We'll go there. This can't be an accident. If there is something hiding there that can help our goal, we must seize it." Itachi looked up, his expression unreadable. "Who will be in the group?" "You and Kakuzu. Find out the source of this power, but be careful. If this is related to the Ninetales, act immediately." Meanwhile, Naruto was trying to figure out what happened to him. It seemed to him that his body had become part of something larger. The chakra that filled him was no longer just a tool. It felt alive, like a separate entity. But along with this came a feeling of danger. "Why do I feel like I'm being watched?" Naruto thought, looking around. The forest, which seemed to him a safe refuge, now caused anxiety. He felt eyes on him, even though there was no one around. Kyuubi's voice rang out inside his mind again. "You awakened something that had been sleeping for a long time. This power will attract those who want to take it. Do you think the village hates you? Wait until the enemies start hunting you." "Who? What enemies?" Naruto whispered out loud, but there was no answer. In the evening, when Naruto was returning home, he was overcome by the feeling that he was being watched. He stopped, peering carefully into the twilight forest. And suddenly, a figure appeared from the shadow of the tree. A tall man in a black cloak with red clouds slowly walked onto the path. His cold gaze, covered by the sharingan, pierced Naruto like a knife. You! Itachi said. So the source of this power is you. Before Naruto had time to respond, a second figure appeared from the shadows. It was Kakuzu. His rough voice echoed through the forest. You have no idea how valuable you are to us, boy. And how long will you be free? Naruto's chakra began to bubble. The Tomo tattoos began to glow again, as if responding to the threat. Naruto clenched his fists, feeling a wave of rage and power rise within him. If these are enemies, I won't let them take my power, he thought, preparing for battle. Chapter 5. Meeting the Shadows. There was a tense silence in the forest. A light wind stirred the leaves, but the air was saturated with a premonition of trouble. Naruto stood in front of two strangers wearing strange black cloaks with red clouds. His heart beat faster than usual, but something inside him whispered, "Don't be afraid, they're just people." "Who are you?" Naruto's voice trembled, but he tried to look confident. Itachi took a step forward, his sharingan glinting slightly in the dim light of the setting sun. "We are the ones who gather strength like yours," he answered calmly. "You are the carrier of the Nine Tails, which means you are the object of our interest." Kakuzu chuckled, crossing his arms over his chest. "Interest? More like a hunting object. But you can make things easier for us if you surrender." Naruto involuntarily took a step back, his body instinctively tensed. A flash of memory of the Kyuubi's words pierced his mind. This power will attract enemies. He realized that these two were not ordinary shinobi. Their presence weighed on him, but at the same time he felt a force rising within him, ready to burst out. I won't let you take my power!" Naruto shouted as his fists clenched and his Tomo tattoos began to pulsate. Kakuzu snorted, as if he wasn't taking the boy seriously. "You don't even know what you're saying, child. We have seen forces that can destroy you in a split second. You are just a vessel for us." Naruto felt his rage rise. The words vessel cut him like a knife. He never considered himself less than others. This power was part of him, and he intended to prove it. First encounter. Itachi raised his hand to stop his partner. "Don't underestimate him, Kakuzu. This power awoke for a reason." He had barely finished speaking when Naruto felt his body begin to act on its own. A bright light burst from his tattoos, enveloping his figure. The air around Naruto began to tremble and a low hum filled the forest, as if the world itself was responding to his power. What is this?" Naruto whispered, looking at his hands from which a glow was emanating. Kyuubi's voice echoed in his head again. "This is the first step towards you understanding your nature. Use this power if you want to survive." Naruto looked up, filled with determination. "I won't let you take me." Kakuzu grinned, flexing his fingers. "Let's see what you can do." He rushed forward with unexpected speed. His hands turned into strange threads that seemed to come to life. Naruto managed to dodge, but his reflexes were at their limit. He didn't know how to deal with such an enemy, but his body moved as if it knew what to do. Itachi, remaining in the shadows, watched what was happening. His gaze focused on Naruto. This chakra, it is unstable, but its potential is enormous. Kakuzu attacked again, his threads flying around trying to catch Naruto. But the boy, relying on his intuition, began to dodge with unnatural dexterity. His movements were fast, precise, as if a force within him controlled his every step. "You're good at dodging, but that won't help you," Kakuzu shouted, directing a stream of threads directly at Naruto. Naruto raised his hand, and at that moment a powerful wave of chakra burst out of his body. She collided with Kakuzu's threads, knocking him back. The ground around Naruto began to crack as the air filled with his untamed energy. Itachi raised his eyebrow slightly at this. His power, it is awakening. Unexpected help. Naruto's flash of power caused the forest to illuminate with a bright light that was visible even from afar. This moment did not go unnoticed. In the village, several experienced shinobi, including Kakashi, sensed power coming from the forest. "Is this Naruto?" Kakashi said in surprise, heading towards the forest. But while help was far away, Naruto stood face to face with two enemies. His heart was pounding and his chakra continued to rage. Kakuzu stood up, looking furious. "You'll pay for this, boy," he growled, rushing to attack again. But before he could get closer, Itachi stopped him. "Enough! He showed what he is capable of. We know where he is. Let's go back." Kakuzu frowned, clearly not wanting to back down, but Itachi looked at him with his cold gaze, and he obeyed. "You won't be saved, boy." "We'll be back," Kakuzu said, disappearing into the shadows. Chapter 6. Looking into the future. Naruto stood among the broken trees and cracked ground. His breathing was heavy and his body was shaking. The light from his tattoos was fading, but the feeling of power still pulsated within. He tried to comprehend what had just happened. The two who came after him were strong, but something told him this was just the beginning. His thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice in his head. You survived, boy. But this is not the end. They will come back, and next time everything will be much more difficult. Who are they? Naruto croaked, looking at his hands, which were still glowing slightly. Why are they hunting me? They are those who strive for absolute power. Your strength is part of this. They see you as the key to their plans. How can I stop them? Naruto clenched his fists. I don't even know what to do with this power. Kyuubi's voice chuckled. Start by understanding her. This power is not just yours, she's a part of you. But if you don't learn to control it, it will destroy you before they do. Return to the village. For long minutes, Naruto stood still, struggling with his thoughts. Finally, he decided to return to Konoha. His steps were heavy. Every movement was difficult. He knew that sooner or later he would have to talk about what had happened, but he did not know how it would be perceived in the village. As he approached the gate, the guards who usually stood lazily at their posts immediately noticed him. One of them came closer, looking at the boy in surprise. Naruto, what happened to you? You look strange. Naruto nodded silently, trying to get around the guards, but one of them blocked his way. Wait, you are covered in dirt and there are signs of battle on your clothes. Did you meet someone in the forest? Naruto hesitated, not knowing what to answer. But before he could say anything, Kakashi appeared next to him. His gaze was focused, but there was anxiety in his eyes. Naruto, come with me, he said without waiting for an answer. Conversation with Kakashi. There was silence in Kakashi's office. Naruto sat in his chair, avoiding his teacher's gaze. He knew he had to tell the truth, but he was filled with fear and doubt. What if the village thinks he's a threat? What if his power causes even more hatred? Naruto, Kakashi began softly. I felt a powerful release of chakra in the forest. That was your power, right? The boy nodded without raising his head. But it wasn't just your chakra there. I felt alien, and very strong. Who was it? Naruto sighed, feeling his fingers tighten in his lap. Two people. They said they were looking for my strength. One of them, he called me a vessel. Kakashi frowned. He understood what this meant. Akatsuki, he said, as if his worst fears were confirmed. These people are dangerous, Naruto. They hunt tailed animals. You are their target. But why me? Why this power? I don't even know how to control it, Kakashi thought, his gaze heavy. What he saw before him was not a child, but a young warrior who had to face something he did not understand. Naruto, you need to learn how to control this power. Without control, it will become your weakness, not your weapon. I will help you, but it won't be easy. Naruto raised his eyes, the fire of determination burning in them. I'm ready. I don't want to be weak. I want to protect those who are dear to me. The first step to control. Kakashi decided to start small. He took Naruto to the training ground where no one could disturb them. The first task was simple. Focus on the chakra and keep it under control. Feel it, Naruto? It is part of you, but you must be its owner. Don't let it take over you, Kakashi explained. Naruto closed his eyes and tried to concentrate. He felt the chakra flowing through his body, but it was like a stormy stream that was difficult to contain. His tattoos began to glow, but the light was unstable, as were his efforts. I can't, he muttered, breaking down. You can, Kakashi said firmly. Don't give up. This power is part of you. She's waiting for you to accept her. Naruto took a deep breath, trying to calm his thoughts. He concentrated again, and this time the light became smoother. He felt the chakra giving in to him, albeit with difficulty. It turns out, Naruto exclaimed, his face lighting up with joy. But at that moment the light intensified sharply, breaking out of his control. The explosion of chakra threw Naruto back, and Kakashi barely managed to cover himself. When the dust settled, he approached the boy. You've taken a step forward, but you still have a long way to go, he said, helping Naruto up. Chapter 7. Akatsuki's new plan. Somewhere in a secluded place, hidden from the eyes of the world, Akatsuki members gathered for a meeting. The spacious hall, lit by dim candles, was filled with tension. In the foreground stood the leader, Pain. His cold eyes looked at the crowd. Our last mission was a failure, he began. The boy turned out to be stronger than we expected. It was just the first contact, Itachi answered calmly, crossing his arms over his chest. His power is enormous, but he has not yet learned to control it. This is his weakness. Kakuzu, sitting in the corner of the hall, added gloomily, We could have captured him if you hadn't given the order to retreat. Itachi glanced at him, his voice unperturbed. If we acted rashly, it could attract Konoha's attention. Now is not the time for a direct attack. Pain raised his hand for silence. Enough. We must be smarter. This boy is the key to our goal. If we don't capture it, our plans will be in jeopardy, but you need to act carefully. What's the plan? Zetsu asked, appearing from the shadows. We'll weaken him. We'll let him believe he has control of his power, and then we'll strike him when he's vulnerable, Pain replied, his voice icy. New stage of training. Meanwhile, Naruto continued training with Kakashi. Every day was a struggle not only with my own strength but also with myself. The Nine Tails chakra was powerful, but its nature remained chaotic. During one of the training sessions, Kakashi decided to complicate the task. Naruto, he said, standing opposite the boy on the training ground, you must learn to control your strength under pressure. I will attack you, and you try to maintain the balance of your chakra. Naruto nodded, feeling his heartbeat faster. He already understood that chakra control was not just a technique, but a constant struggle. But he wasn't going to give up. Kakashi took the first step, and the next moment he disappeared. Naruto instinctively tensed, trying to catch his movement. Suddenly, a shadow flashed to the right, and Kakashi appeared, attacking with a kunai. Naruto dodged, but at that moment, his chakra began to flare, breaking out of control. Calm down, Naruto, keep it to yourself, Kakashi shouted. The boy closed his eyes, trying to concentrate. He could feel the chakra bubbling inside him, but now he knew he could hold it. He took a deep breath, and the light of his tattoos became even. At that moment, he dodged another attack from Kakashi and performed an accurate counterstrike. Kakashi stopped, looking at him with approval. Good job, but this is just the beginning. Shadow over Konoha. While Naruto was training, the Akatsuki began to act. They sent Zetsu to the village to observe the situation. Thanks to his abilities, he could move freely without being noticed. His goal was simple: study Naruto's surroundings and find his weak points. Zetsu watched the training ground from underground. He saw how Naruto trained and how Kakashi guided him. His reports were passed directly to Pain. He's getting stronger, Zetsu said, but he still doesn't fully understand how to use his power. This is our chance, Pain replied. We'll wait until he's alone. Then we'll hit. Unexpected meeting. The next day, Naruto decided to take a walk through the forest to get some rest after his hard training. He still felt a force inside him that was trying to break out. Every step reminded him that this power could be both a blessing and a curse. His thoughts were interrupted by a strange sound. He stopped and looked around but saw no one. Who's here? He asked, trying to sound confident. A figure emerged from the shadow of a tree. It was a man in a black cloak with red clouds. His face was hidden by a mask, but Naruto immediately knew who it was. You're from Akatsuki, he shouted, taking a fighting stance. You're observant, boy, Toby replied coldly. I didn't come to fight, for now. Then why are you here? Toby took a step forward, his voice sounding ominous. To remind you, the power you carry is not yours. You're just a vessel, and sooner or later we will take what belongs to us. Naruto felt his tattoos begin to glow. His rage was rising, but he remembered Kakashi's words about not letting emotions control power. I will not give you my power, he answered firmly. Toby chuckled. We'll see, boy. Time will show. And with that, he disappeared, leaving Naruto standing alone, overcome with thoughts of what was to come. Chapter 8, Test of Time. After meeting Toby in the forest, Naruto realized the gravity of his situation. The Akatsuki will not back down until they get their way. The power he carried made him not only a target for his enemies, but also an important link in their plans. He knew he needed to get stronger, but it wasn't enough. Naruto needed more than just strength. He needed to understand the nature of his chakra and himself. Conversation with Kakashi. Returning to the village, Naruto immediately went to Kakashi. He needed to talk about the meeting with Toby and discuss further actions. He was there, Naruto said as soon as he entered the office. This man is from Akatsuki. He said that they will come back for me. Kakashi looked up from his book and looked closely at Naruto. His face became serious. Toby, he said quietly, if he personally appeared in front of you, it means that they took active action. We can't put off your education any longer. What do you mean? Naruto asked. Your power is great, but without control it will become your curse, Kakashi explained. I can't teach you anymore. There is only one person who can help you understand the nature of your chakra and learn how to control it. Who is this? Naruto tensed, waiting for an answer. Jiraiya, Kakashi replied. One of the 3 legendary Sanins. He is your best chance. Meeting with Jiraiya. A few days later, Jiraiya arrived in the village. A tall man with long white hair and a smile that hid the experience of thousands of battles, he seemed slightly careless, but there was wisdom in his gaze. So, you're the boy everyone is talking about, he said, looking at Naruto. You are stronger than you look, but I heard that you have no control over your strength. So you need me. Naruto frowned. Can you really help me? I don't want to be just a vessel, he said firmly. Jiraiya chuckled. Trust me, boy. I will teach you things you could never even dream of. But first you must understand that this power is more than just a weapon, it's part of you. And if you don't accept it, you will never become stronger. Start of training. Training with Jiraiya began the very next day. The first stage was understanding your chakra. Naruto had to feel its currents and learn to direct them so that they did not get out of control. It was more difficult than he expected. Close your eyes, Jiraiya said. Feel your chakra. You should imagine that you are holding a stream of water in your hands. If you let it go, it will burst out. But if you squeeze it too hard, it will destroy you from the inside. You have to find a balance. Naruto concentrated. He felt chakra pulsing through his body. She was like a hot river trying to break through. He wanted to just let her out, but he knew that would be a mistake. He took a deep breath and tried to control her, but it was incredibly difficult. You're too tense, Jiraiya said. Relax. Chakra is a part of you. She's not an enemy unless you make her one. Shadow of Akatsuki. While Naruto was training, Akatsuki continued to develop their plans. In one of their hideouts, Tobi and Pain discussed the next step. Naruto is getting stronger, Tobi said, but his strength is still unstable. We must take advantage of this. Pain nodded. We have to weaken him mentally. Let him understand that his strength is not a blessing but a curse. This will make him vulnerable. I have an idea, Tobi said. We will attack those who are dear to him. This will push him beyond his limits, and when he burns out, we will strike. Chapter 9. Unlocking Potential. Several weeks had passed since Naruto began training under Jiraiya. Every day was full of challenges that challenged his strength, patience, and will. But surprisingly, Naruto managed. He grasped everything on the fly, and his progress amazed even Jiraiya himself. This boy is truly unique, Jiraiya thought as he watched Naruto easily complete exercises that had previously seemed impossible to him. He is helped not only by his tenacity, but also by the incredible strength hidden inside. First test, chakra control. The main goal was to teach Naruto to control his chakra. Jiraiya developed a unique technique for him, which included meditation and physical activity. Given the unstable nature of Naruto's chakra, it was important to learn how to distribute it harmoniously. Focus, Naruto, Jiraiya said, as he watched Naruto balance on one arm while holding a small ball of water on the other. Chakra should be your ally, not your enemy. Naruto, sweating, clenched his teeth, trying to keep his balance. There was a familiar tingling feeling in his stomach, and his tomo tattoos began to glow as he concentrated. Gradually, the water in the ball began to rise upward, taking the form of a vortex. It turns out! Naruto shouted, but immediately lost his balance and fell to the ground, splashing water around him. Jiraiya laughed. Not a bad start. Well done, Naruto, but don't forget. Strength requires calm. If you push yourself too hard, she will destroy you. Second test, creating new technology. After Naruto learned to better control his chakra, Jiraiya decided it was time to move on to the next stage, creating a unique technique that would become a symbol of Naruto's strength. You have the potential to create something that even the best shinobi cannot do, Jiraiya said, pointing to the ball of water. But to do this, you must understand how to direct your chakra in one direction. Naruto remembered how Minato, his father, created the legendary Rasengan. This technique became his inspiration. He wanted to create something similar, but unique. I'll do better than the Rasengan, Naruto said with determination in his eyes. The training was grueling. Naruto spent days and nights trying to concentrate his chakra, creating a form that would reflect his power. His tattoos glowed brighter with each success, and within days he had the first version of the new technique. It was a spinning ball of energy surrounded by the glow of his chakra. This is incredible! Naruto exclaimed as he watched his creation destroy a massive boulder. Jiraiya nodded, but his face remained serious. This is just the beginning. Now you need to bring it to perfection. Symbiosis with the 9 paths. Chakra, the fight in the subconscious. Jiraiya watched Naruto as he meditated on the riverbank. The calm water reflected the boy's face, but a storm began inside his mind. Naruto went into his subconscious to come face to face with the Nine Tails. This was the only way to fully synchronize with his power. Meeting with Kurama. In a dark and cold cave surrounded by massive chains, Naruto found himself in front of a giant gate. Behind them was a huge figure of a fox with 9 tails. His eyes glowed bright red and his grin looked terrifying. You're back, boy, Kurama growled, his voice echoing throughout the cave. This time you want more than just my help. You want my power. But do you understand that it's not free? Naruto didn't back down. His gaze was full of determination. I'm not afraid of you, Kurama. If I need to defeat you so we can work together, I will do it. Defeat me? The fox laughed. His laugh was low and terrifying. You're just a boy. I have existed for thousands of years. You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into. Kurama broke the chains that held him, and a giant paw smashed through the gate, throwing it open with ease. The fox rushed forward, his huge figure looming over Naruto. Start of the battle. Naruto immediately assumed a fighting stance. His tomo tattoos began to glow and his own chakra began to form around him. Despite Kurama's size, Naruto didn't flinch. The fox attacked first. Its massive paw slammed down on Naruto, destroying the ground. The boy managed to dodge by rolling to the side. He released a concentrated stream of chakra, directing it towards Kurama, but he easily parried the blow by swinging his tails. Too slow! Kurama growled and swung his tails, creating a powerful shockwave. Naruto flew back, barely able to get to his feet. I will not give up! Naruto shouted. His tattoos glowed brighter and he jumped forward using a new technique. His chakra-enhanced fist slammed into Kurama's muzzle, forcing the fox to retreat. But the fox just got angry. He opened his mouth wide, gathering a powerful clot of energy. Bijudama? Naruto instantly realized what was happening and rushed forward, trying to stop the attack. He created a giant ball of chakra, which he sent to attack Kurama. The two forces collided, creating a powerful explosion that illuminated the entire subconscious. Naruto's determination. After the explosion, Naruto stood there breathing heavily, but didn't give up. Kurama was also exhausted, but his burning eyes still sparkled with rage. You're stronger than I thought, boy, the fox admitted. But this is not enough. Naruto looked up. His body was covered in wounds, but there was fire in his eyes. I won't leave until you accept me as your partner. I don't want to be an enemy anymore. You and me, we can be stronger together. Kurama froze. His anger began to fade, giving way to surprise. The boy didn't ask for his strength for revenge or power. There was truth in his words. Do you really believe this? Kurama asked quietly. Yes, Naruto replied. You and I have been through a lot. I want you to be my friend, not my prisoner. The fox looked at him for a few seconds and then, sighing, sat down. Okay, boy, you have proven your determination. You deserve my strength. But remember, if you ever betray my trust, I will tear you apart. Naruto smiled. Agreed, Kurama. Uniting strength. When Naruto emerged from his meditation, his body was shrouded in a cloak of the Nine Tails chakra. His tomo tattoos glowed with a bright golden light, and his eyes sparkled with confidence. Jiraiya couldn't hide his smile as he watched him. You did it, Naruto. Now you have truly become stronger. But Naruto himself knew that this was just the beginning. Now, with the power of Kurama, he was ready for any challenges that the Akatsuki could throw at him. Chapter 10. The Shadows Deepen. In the dark, hidden Akatsuki hideout, Tobi sat surrounded by candles, their dim light reflecting on his mask. His voice was quiet, but there was confidence in it. Naruto Uzumaki, you are growing faster than I expected, but your power is not yours. She is just a tool to achieve our goal. Next to him was Zetsu, whose eyes sparkled with curiosity. His strength is truly impressive. I saw him fight Kurama inside his subconscious. I have never seen such synchronization with a tailed creature. Tobi looked at him, bowing his head. That makes it even more valuable. But this also means that it will be more difficult to capture. Zetsu thought about it. Perhaps we should act differently. Instead of attacking him directly, we can force him to make the first move. Tobi chuckled under his mask. Are you proposing to lure him into a trap? Interesting idea, but this requires something more. We must hit what is dear to him. Akatsuki's new plan. Tobi began to strategize. He knew that Naruto valued his friends and village more than anything. These attachments made him strong, but also vulnerable. If Naruto loses what he loves, his resolve may be shaken. We'll hit Konoha, Tobi said. But not openly. Let him feel the danger. Let him leave the village on his own. What if he doesn't come out? Zetsu asked. Then we will take those who are dear to him, Tobi answered coldly. This will force him to act. In Konoha, feeling of anxiety. Meanwhile, in Konoha, Naruto continued his training. After his battle with Kurama, his strength increased significantly. He felt stronger than ever, but he was troubled by the feeling of impending danger. Something's wrong, he said to Jiraiya one day during training. I have a strange feeling that I'm being watched. Jiraiya frowned. It's not surprising. You have become stronger, and the Akatsuki will not stop. They will do anything to get you. But why don't they attack? Naruto asked. Are they afraid? Jiraiya shook his head. No, they are too smart for that. They know that a direct attack will cause too much noise. Most likely they are preparing something more sophisticated. Naruto clenched his fists. I won't let them harm my friends or the village. The trap is revealed. The next day, a wounded scout came running to the village. His face was pale and his clothes were stained with blood. He relayed the message to Tsunade, who immediately convened the village council. A group of our shinobi disappeared in the forest not far from the borders of the Fire Country, she said. We received a message that unknown people in black cloaks with red clouds were spotted there. Everyone froze. These descriptions left no doubt. These were Akatsuki. It's a trap, Kakashi said. They want us to send one of the strongest, and then they will attack. But we can't leave our people, Tsunade objected. This is not in our spirit. Naruto, who was standing in the corner of the hall, stepped forward. I'll go. This is my fight. No, Naruto, Tsunade said sharply. You are too valuable to the village. If they capture you, the consequences will be catastrophic. If I don't go, who will? Naruto clenched his teeth. They are looking for me. If I show myself, they will reveal their plans. Kakashi put his hand on his shoulder. If you go, you won't be alone. I'll go with you. Tsunade thought about it. The decision was not easy, but she knew that it would be impossible to keep Naruto. Okay, she said, but be careful. We can't afford mistakes. Clash in the forest. Naruto and Kakashi went to the border. The forest was thick and the atmosphere tense. They moved in silence, carefully observing their surroundings. Suddenly, Kakashi stopped, raising his hand. Do you feel it? He asked. Naruto nodded. His tattoos glowed slightly, reacting to the presence of someone else's chakra. They are here, he whispered. Two figures emerged from the shadows. It was Zetsu and Kakuzu. Their gazes were cold, and their intentions were obvious. Finally, Kakuzu said, we've been waiting for you, Naruto. Naruto stepped forward, his chakra beginning to pulsate. If you want me, try to pick me up. Chapter 11. Trial by Fire. The forest around Naruto and Kakashi was filled with a heavy silence, broken only by the rustling of leaves. The two figures in Akatsuki cloaks looked menacing, and their aura was overwhelming. Kakuzu stood in front, his eyes sparkling with greed. Zetsu, half hidden in the shadows of the trees, watched with interest. Well, shall we start? Kakuzu grinned, moving forward. It's not every day that we have the opportunity to take such a valuable target. Naruto felt his heart begin to race, but he did not allow fear to take over him. His Tomo tattoos began to glow and Kurama's chakra surrounded him, forming a faint golden halo. If you want me, you'll have to fight, he said, getting into a fighting stance. Kakashi silently watched his opponents, keeping his sharingan activated. He knew that this battle would not be easy. First attack! Kakuzu did not hesitate. He shot forward, his arms suddenly splitting into long threads that shot towards Naruto like snakes. Naruto managed to dodge using his speed, but the threads pursued him, entangling trees and destroying everything in their path. Don't dodge, boy! Show what you can do! Kakuzu shouted as he aimed his attack straight at Naruto. Naruto concentrated, his hands forming the familiar seal. Shadow clone technique, he shouted. Several copies appeared around him, which immediately scattered in different directions. Kakuzu's threads tore the clones apart, but Naruto used this time to get closer. His chakra-enhanced fist struck Kakuzu's chest, knocking him back. Not bad, Kakuzu admitted, rising to his feet, but this is not enough. He opened his jacket, revealing 5 hearts that pulsed with bright light. What is this? Naruto was surprised, his eyes widening. Kakashi tensed. Kakuzu is a master of controlling hearts. He has 5 hearts and each has its own element. To defeat him, you need to destroy everything. Kakuzu chuckled. That's right, Kakashi, and now you will see them in action. Kurama chakra. While Kakuzu attacked, Zetsu remained in the shadows, watching Naruto. His eyes carefully studied the boy's every movement. This chakra, it's unusual, he muttered. Kurama actually merged with him. But how deep? Meanwhile, Naruto, while dodging Kakuzu's attacks, felt Kurama speak in his mind. You're too slow, boy. Use my power or you will be killed. I'm trying, but he's too strong, Naruto replied mentally. Then let me take some control, Kurama suggested. You can't do it alone. Naruto thought for a moment, then nodded. Okay, but don't go too far. His body was enveloped in a golden cloak of chakra. Naruto's eyes turned bright red, and the tattoos on his body shone even brighter. His speed and strength increased manifold. He rushed forward, avoiding Kakuzu's attacks, and delivered a powerful blow that broke one of his threads. What? Kakuzu was surprised, looking at the collapsing heart. Impossible! Strike back? Kakuzu got angry. He activated 2 elements at once, releasing streams of fire and lightning. The forest around turned into a battlefield, where the trees were burning and the ground was splitting apart from the blows. Naruto used his speed to dodge, but one of the attacks still hit him. He fell to the ground but quickly got up. You're finished, boy! Kakuzu shouted, directing all his power at Naruto. But Naruto, merging with Kurama's chakra, gathered all his strength. His fist was surrounded by golden flames and he aimed it straight towards Kakuzu. Get it! He shouted. The blow reached its target. Kakuzu flew several meters away, hitting a tree. One of his hearts shattered again. You're making me angry, Kakuzu croaked, rising to his feet. Zetsu comes into play. Zetsu, watching from the shadows, decided to intervene. His body suddenly emerged from the ground, and he pointed his arms, transformed into blades, straight at Naruto. But at that moment, Kakashi appeared in front of Naruto, blocking the attack. You won't reach him, he said, activating his Chidori. Zetsu retreated, but his face remained calm. We're not done yet, he said, disappearing back into the ground. End of the fight. Naruto versus Kakuzu. Naruto stood panting, his body covered in a golden cloak of Kurama's chakra. His gaze was focused on Kakuzu, who was still standing even though his 2 hearts had already been destroyed. The ground around looked like a battlefield. scorched grass, fragments of trees, and deep cracks from powerful attacks. Kakuzu raised his head, his voice sounding hoarse but with hints of anger. You underestimated me, boy. Even with 2 lost hearts, I'm still much stronger than you. His body began to change. New threads emerged from his chest and wrapped around his arms and legs, strengthening them. His remaining 3 hearts began to glow brighter, and a powerful flow of chakra filled the space. I'll show you what real strength means, Kakuzu growled. Kakuzu's final push. Kakuzu rushed forward, his speed surprisingly fast despite his massive body. He attacked in several directions simultaneously. The threads darted, creating chaotic trajectories, and his fists, enhanced by earth chakra, left deep dents in the ground. Naruto dodged the first attack, but one of the threads wrapped around his leg, pinning him to the ground. Kakuzu raised his hand, preparing to deliver a crushing blow. You won't leave, he shouted. But at that moment, Naruto felt a surge of power within him. Kurama's voice rang out in his mind. You're too slow, boy. Let me show you how to do it. Let's, Naruto replied as he concentrated on his chakra. His tomo tattoos flared with a bright golden light, and a powerful burst of chakra severed the threads holding him together. Naruto used the same power to deflect Kakuzu's blow. His feet pushed off the ground and he launched into the air, dodging further attacks. Concentration of power. Naruto landed on a branch of a nearby tree. He knew that attacking alone would not bring victory. He needed to combine everything he had been taught to deliver the finishing blow. His hands formed a seal, and he began to form the Rasengan. This one will be more than just a Rasengan, he whispered. It will be something new. Kurama's chakra enveloped the spinning ball, making it larger and brighter. Whirlwinds of energy began to appear around him, causing hurricane winds to destroy everything around him. Kakuzu, noticing the concentration of power, growled. Do you think this will stop me? I will destroy you before you can complete your attack. He rushed forward, his threads and arms becoming even more powerful. Streams of earth and lightning swirled around him as if he wanted to level everything to the ground. Climax of the battle. As Kakuzu approached, Naruto jumped towards him. His golden chakra cloak glowed brighter, and his technique was ready. He clenched his teeth and shouted, Rasen Shuriken! A powerful spinning disc surrounded by sharp edges of pure chakra burst out of his hands and rushed straight towards Kakuzu. The technique was so fast that Kakuzu barely had time to notice its approach. No! He shouted, but it was too late. The Rasen Shuriken crashed into his body, consuming him completely. The chakra explosion was so powerful that trees around were toppled and the ground was torn to pieces. At the epicenter of the attack, a huge crater formed from which a blinding light emanated. When the light faded, Kakuzu lay on the ground. His body no longer moved and his remaining heart stopped beating. This was the final victory. Consequences? Naruto fell to his knees, his breathing coming in short gasps. His golden chakra cloak disappeared, leaving the boy exhausted but alive. Kakashi, who had been protecting Naruto from Zetsu's attacks all this time, approached him. Great job, Naruto, he said, helping the boy up. You won. Naruto nodded, but there was concern in his eyes. This is not the end yet. They will come again, he said. We just destroyed one of them, but the Akatsuki won't stop. Kakashi looked at him and his voice became serious. You are right, but this battle proved that you are ready to face them. Now we need to prepare for the next step. Chapter 12, Shadow's Move. Somewhere in one of Akatsuki's hidden hideouts, the silence was broken only by the sound of burning candles. Zetsu stood in front of Tobi, his black and white face maintaining an impassive expression. Tobi sat on a stone throne, deep in thought, his mask reflecting the dim light. Kakuzu has fallen, said Zetsu. His voice was calm, but there was a hint of condemnation in his words. We have lost one of our strongest members. Tobi slowly tilted his head as if pondering what he had heard. It doesn't matter, he said after a pause. His voice was low and cold. Kakuzu knew what he was getting into. His goal was not to defeat Naruto, but to test his limits. Zetsu raised an eyebrow. Did you know that he would lose? Tobi stood up, his figure towering over Zetsu. Naruto is developing at incredible speed. Defeating Kakuzu proved that he is becoming what we need. The stronger he becomes, the more we can use his power for our purpose. Zetsu chuckled but didn't object. He understood Tobi's logic, even if he didn't completely agree with it. What now? He asked. Tobi turned away, his voice becoming firmer. We are starting the next stage. Naruto must face true darkness. He must be faced with a choice that will change him forever. Akatsuki's new strategy? Tobi called other members of the organization to a meeting. In the spacious hall, illuminated by dim light, figures in cloaks with red clouds began to appear. Among them were Pain, Konan, Deidara, and Kasame. Kakuzu has fallen, Tobi began, his voice echoing throughout the hall. But that doesn't change anything. Naruto Uzumaki is getting stronger, and this is playing into our hands. Pain frowned. You speak as if his power is part of our plan. But the stronger he gets, the harder it will be to capture him. Toby looked at him. You are right. But we will not seize it by force. We will make him come to us. To do this, we will hit his weaknesses, his village, his friends, everything he considers important. Kisame grinned, his smile sinister. So you want to provoke him? Wonderful. It's high time to stir up this hornet's nest. Conan, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. Are you sure this will work? Naruto is not one to give up. He will fight to the end. That's what makes it perfect, Toby said. The more he resists, the faster we will bring him to the edge. The question is not whether he will fight, but how long he can endure. In Konoha, feeling of anxiety. Meanwhile, in the village, Naruto continued his training, but after the battle with Kakuzu, a strange feeling did not leave him. He felt that this was just the beginning of something bigger. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade reviewed reports on recent events. Next to her were Shizune, Kakashi, and Jiraiya. They've begun to act, Tsunade said, her voice tense. Losing Kakuzu may seem like a victory, but it's not. This is a warning. Jiraiya nodded. Toby is a strategist. He would not have made such a mistake if it had not played into his hands. We must be prepared for them to strike at the most unexpected moment. And in the most vulnerable place, Kakashi added. Naruto. Tsunade looked at them. We cannot allow the Akatsuki to achieve their goal. Naruto is the key to the village's safety, but he is also their main target. We have to double the defense around him. Harbingers of trouble. In the evening, after another training session, Naruto sat on the roof of his house, looking at the stars. Anxiety grew inside him. He couldn't help but think that something terrible was coming. Can you feel it, boy? Kurama's voice rang out in his mind. Yes, Naruto answered quietly. It's like a shadow that's slowly approaching. Toby won't stop. He's smart and cunning, Kurama said. But you must remember, I am here to help you. We can handle it. Naruto smiled, although the worry didn't go away. Thank you, Kurama, but I have to be ready for anything. The trap is revealed. The next day, the village received an alarming message. A group of shinobi patrolling the borders of the Fire Country disappeared. Their latest report spoke of strange figures being seen in the forest. Tsunade immediately called a council. It's a trap, Kakashi said. They want to lure Naruto out. But we can't leave our people, Tsunade objected. This is not in our spirit. Then we must be careful, Jiraiya said. If it's a trap, we have to disarm it without falling into it. Naruto, who was standing in the corner of the room, stepped forward. I'll go. If it's because of me, I can't just sit and wait. No, Naruto, Tsunade said sharply. We can't risk you. Then I'll go with him, Kakashi said. We will be careful, but we must act. Chapter 13. On the Border of the Unknown. Night fell on the forest surrounding the borders of the Land of Fire. Moonlight made its way through the treetops, illuminating the narrow path along which a small group was moving. Kakashi led the way, concentrated and silent. He was followed by Naruto, who tried to suppress his feelings of anxiety. The squad also included Sakura and Sai, each of them holding their guard. We're almost there, Kakashi said, raising his hand. Watch your chakras. They can detect us before we detect them. Naruto clenched his fists. He didn't like this feeling. There was tension in the air, as if nature itself was warning them of impending danger. Something's wrong, he said quietly. I feel like they're already waiting for us. Kakashi nodded. You're probably right. Akatsuki always acts strategically. But this is why we must be careful. Don't lose concentration. The trap is revealed. When the squad approached the designated point, a destroyed field was revealed to their gaze. The ground was covered with deep cracks, and the trees around were scorched. The place looked like a battlefield, although not a single body was visible. What happened here? Sakura asked, her voice trembling with tension. Sai came closer, carefully examining the ground. It looks like traces of powerful attacks, but no sign of battle. This is weird. It's too quiet, Kakashi said, his sharingan beginning to carefully scan the area. This place looks like a trap. Naruto stepped forward, his tomo tattoos beginning to glow faintly. He sensed something that others couldn't grasp. They are here, he said quietly. He barely had time to say this when black tentacles burst out of the ground. They instantly wrapped themselves around Sai, not giving him the opportunity to dodge. A tall man wearing a black cloak with red clouds emerged from the shadow of a tree. Welcome, he said mockingly. It was Hidan, one of the Akatsuki members. His eyes burned with a thirst for battle. One more, said a voice behind them. The group turned around and saw another Akatsuki member, Kisame. His giant sword, Samehada, was ready. You thought you could just walk in here? Kisame chuckled. How nice. The battle begins. Kakashi instantly activated his sharingan and took a fighting stance. It's a trap, just as I thought, he said. Naruto, Sakura, be careful. These are no ordinary opponents. Naruto gritted his teeth and stepped forward. If they came for me, I won't let them win. Kisame laughed. You've become bolder, boy, but let's see how far it takes you. He rushed forward, his sword beginning to absorb the chakra around him. Naruto rushed forward, his fist, strengthened by Kurama's chakra, colliding with Kisame's sword. The impact caused a powerful shockwave, knocking them both back. Sakura, meanwhile, set about freeing Sai, who was still being held by Hidan's tentacles. She struck the ground with a powerful blow, breaking part of the grip, but Hidan was faster. His scythe flew into the air, heading straight for her. Sakura, be careful! Kakashi shouted, rushing to help. Naruto's power. Naruto concentrated as his body began to glow with a golden cloak of chakra. Kurama inside him spoke. This sword absorbs chakra. You have to be careful, boy. I know, Naruto replied, but I can't let him win. His tattoos began to shine brighter, and Kurama's chakra increased his speed. He disappeared from the spot and appeared right in front of Kisame, delivering a powerful blow that forced Samehada's sword to retreat. You're getting interesting, Kisame chuckled, but you don't understand who you're messing with. Kisame released a stream of water, creating a giant dome that instantly covered them both. Inside the dome, Kisame merged with Samehada, turning into a real monster. You cannot defeat me in this environment, he said, approaching Naruto. But Naruto didn't give up. His chakra began to form vortexes inside the dome, breaking the water barrier. He gathered all his power into one blow, directing it directly at Kisame. Rasen Shuriken, he shouted, releasing the technique. The explosion of chakra tore through the dome, throwing Kisame back and destroying his form. Naruto stood there, breathing heavily but still ready to fight. Chapter 14. Maneuvers in the Shadows. The forest where the battle took place was shrouded in silence. Destroyed trees, traces of equipment, and deep cracks in the ground were reminders of a recent clash. Naruto stood in the center of the battlefield, breathing heavily. His chakra cloak shimmered, and his tomo tattoos still glowed with a faint golden light. Hidan and Kisame retreated, leaving behind them the feeling of an impending threat. Kakashi walked up to Naruto, examining him carefully. Are you okay? He asked, putting away his sharingan. Yes, Naruto answered, struggling to his feet. But it was too strange. They could have attacked further, but did not. Sakura, helping Sai up, added, They retreated too easily. This is clearly part of their plan. Kakashi frowned. It was a distraction. Their goal is not to defeat us, but to force us to take the first step. We must be careful. Pause before the storm. The squad decided to stop temporarily to recuperate. They found a small cave nearby that could shelter them from a surprise attack. While Sakura tended to Sai's wounds, Naruto sat at the entrance, looking up at the night sky. His thoughts were full of anxiety. Why did they leave? He asked himself. Kurama, hearing his thoughts, spoke in his mind. These two are not the ones who fight without a reason. If they retreat, then their goal has been achieved. They want to make you feel this tension. I can't just sit here, Kurama, Naruto replied. If they're up to something, I have to find out what it is. Kurama chuckled. Haste will kill you, boy. But if you want to be prepared, you need to focus. Your power is growing, but you have not yet figured out how to fully use it. Naruto sighed, clenching his fists. I'll handle this. Akatsuki plan. Meanwhile, somewhere far away, in a hidden Akatsuki hideout, Tobi listened carefully to the report of Hidan and Kisame. Their voices sounded confident, but there was a hint of disappointment in them. The boy has become stronger, Kisame began. His strength and speed grow with every fight. It handled my dome of water, and that's impressive. Hidan grinned evilly. I could have finished him off if not for your order to retreat. Tobi raised his hand to stop them. You did what you needed to do. Your mission was not to defeat him. It was about slowing him down and making us understand his new abilities. Now we know how it works. This brings us closer to our goal. Pain, who had been silently watching the conversation, finally spoke. The next step should be more aggressive. We can't let him take full control of his power. Tobi nodded. Exactly. The next step is a blow to his spirit. We will force him to choose between his power and those he wants to protect. Alert. The next morning, Naruto's squad continued moving, but soon their path was blocked by a fighter from a neighboring village, wounded and barely able to stand on his feet. Akatsuki, they attacked, he said before losing consciousness. Sakura immediately began to help him, but Naruto and Kakashi were already tense. They started to act, Kakashi said. If they attack other villages, this could only be the beginning. Naruto, feeling a surge of rage, clenched his fists. We can't just stand around and wait. We must stop them. Kakashi looked at Naruto. It's a trap and you know it, but we have no choice. We need to check this out. False attack. The group arrived at the village the wounded man spoke about. It looked destroyed, but strangely empty. Traces of the battle were everywhere, but neither bodies nor inhabitants were visible. What happened here? Sakura asked, looking around. This doesn't look like a normal attack, Kakashi said. This is a production. At that moment, Figures in Akatsuki cloaks began to appear around them. These were copies created using technology. They surrounded the squad, causing everyone to tense up. "What is this?" Naruto shouted as he activated his chakra cloak. Tobi's voice came out of nowhere. "Welcome to the trap, Naruto. Today you will find out what you are willing to sacrifice for the sake of your strength." Chapter 15. Test of Strength and Spirit. Tobi's voice, cold and mocking, echoed through the ruined village. His words hung in the air, increasing the tension. Naruto, surrounded by replicas of Akatsuki members, clenched his fists tighter. His tomo tattoos began to glow as a golden cloak of chakra slowly enveloped his body. "If you think I'll back down, you're wrong," Naruto said, his voice full of determination. Tobi laughed, his laugh sounding hollow and menacing. "You're so confident, boy. But strength is not everything. Today I will show you what it means to lose what is dear to you." Tobi's trap. Images began to flicker around Naruto. They were blurry, like reflections in water, but gradually became clearer. Figures he knew and loved appeared before him. Iruka-sensei, Hinata, Kakashi, and even Jiraiya. They all looked tense, as if they were in danger. "What is this?" Naruto shouted, looking around. "They're the ones you're trying to protect," Tobi replied. "Each of them is now on the verge of life and death, and only you can save them." Naruto froze. His heart sank with horror. He didn't know what to do, but the kurama inside him spoke. "It's a lie, boy. This person is trying to play with your feelings. Don't let him fool you." "What if it's true?" Naruto whispered. "I can't just watch them suffer." Tobi continued as if he could hear his thoughts. "You have to make a choice, Naruto. You have the power to save them. But to do this, you have to give up who you were. Use your power to destroy everything that stands between you and their salvation, or watch them disappear." The test begins. The images began to move. Naruto saw Hinata fighting against unknown enemies, her strength clearly not being enough to win. Iruka-sensei was injured, barely holding a kunai in his hands. Kakashi and Jiraiya were surrounded, but continued to resist. "No," Naruto whispered, feeling his hands shaking. "I won't let this happen." He rushed forward, intending to save them, but his path was blocked by copies of Akatsuki. Their strikes were precise and coordinated, but Naruto managed using his speed and strength. Each attack forced him to expend more chakra, but he did not give up. "You can fight as long as you want," Tobi said, his voice sounding straight into Naruto's mind. "But can you save everyone? Battle with yourself." Naruto, while fighting off enemies, began to feel his chakra being depleted. But the real blow came unexpectedly. An image of himself appeared before him, surrounded by a dark cloak. His eyes glowed red and his smile was sinister. "You don't understand, Naruto," his double said. "You can't protect everyone. The more you try, the more you lose. Why not use all your power and destroy those who interfere with you?" "It's not me," Naruto replied, his voice shaking. "I will never give up on my friends." "Then watch them disappear," the doppelganger said, as his shadow rushed forward, aiming a blow straight at Naruto's heart. Awakening the inner strength. At that moment, Naruto felt something new. Deep within him, beyond Kurama's chakra, lay another power. It was more than just energy. It was his own desire to protect those he loved. "I won't let you!" he shouted, and his tomo tattoos flashed, filling the space with bright light. The double retreated, shielding himself from the radiance. "What is this?" he whispered, disappearing. Naruto stood surrounded by golden flames. His eyes sparkled with confidence. "This is my strength," he said. "Strength that comes not from anger, but from the desire to protect." Shattering the illusion. The images of friends began to fade. Naruto realized that it was just an illusion created by Tobi. He clenched his fists, staring into space. "You think you can break me with such tricks?" he shouted. "You will never understand what it means to protect others." Tobi's voice sounded again, this time harsher. "You surprise me, Naruto. But remember, this is just the beginning. The real test is yet to come." Chapter 16. Echo Trap. Naruto stood in the middle of the destroyed village, his hands still shaking from tension. Despite defeating the illusion, he felt that Tobi had achieved his goal. The trap was not only a test of his strength, but also an attempt to break his spirit. Kakashi walked up to Naruto, his voice soft but serious. "You did it, Naruto, but this is just the beginning. Tobi is playing the long game and you have to be prepared." Naruto clenched his fists, his gaze fixed on the ground. "I couldn't have won if it weren't for Kurama. But what if I'm wrong next time? What if I can't protect my friends?" Kakashi put his hand on his shoulder. "Mistakes are inevitable, but your power is not just chakra. It is your determination and desire to protect others. This is what makes you stronger." The impact of the trap, doubts and new goals. Later, when the team returned to a safe place to rest, Naruto went into seclusion. He sat by the fire, looking at the fire, his thoughts racing between victory and consequences. For the first time, he felt that even his strength might not be enough. Kurama spoke in his mind. You feel fear, boy. This is fine. But remember, strength does not come without sacrifice. You have already proven that you can be strong, but you must learn to control your fear. It's not easy, Naruto replied. Every time I fight, I'm afraid of losing control. If I make a mistake, others will suffer. Then learn to be the master of your power, Kurama replied. Your tattoos are not just decoration. They hold the secret of your true strength, but you have to understand how to use them. Tobi's layered plan. Meanwhile, Tobi returned to his hideout. His plan worked. Naruto was stronger than expected, but he was also vulnerable. Tobi carefully studied his next steps, his voice sounding cold. His fear is the key, he said, looking at the map of Konoha. We will make him believe that the power he uses is dangerous not only to his enemies, but also to those he wants to protect. Zetsu appeared from the shadows. Are you going to use his friends? Or hit the village? Both, Tobi answered. We will create the illusion of a threat that will force him to use all his power. And then we'll make him see that his power destroys everything around him. New threat, awakening the power of tattoos. The next day, Naruto's team discovered another strange thing. The forest they passed through was completely burned out. The ground was covered with traces of giant attacks, but there was not a single body. It's their job again, Kakashi said. They leave trails of destruction to distract us. Naruto moved closer to the edge of the scorched clearing. His Tomo tattoos began to pulsate slightly. He felt a new power awakening inside him, but did not understand how to control it. Something is wrong here, he said, placing his hand on his stomach. Kurama responded. It's your body reacting to residual chakra. Your tattoos are connected to this energy. They can absorb the remnants of destroyed power and transform it. But how to use it? Naruto asked. That's what you have to find out, Kurama replied. First try. Naruto decided to test the new ability of his tattoos. He concentrated, his hands forming a seal, and he felt the chakra of the environment begin to be drawn into his body. The tattoos began to glow brighter, and a powerful vortex of energy formed around him. What is this? Sakura asked, looking at Naruto. He's trying to control a new power, Kakashi explained. But it's dangerous. Suddenly, the whirlwind got out of control. Naruto lost his balance, and a powerful blast of chakra hit the entire team. Kakashi managed to protect them with his technique, but Naruto was thrown back. It's too difficult, Naruto shouted, his voice filled with disappointment. Kurama spoke again. You're in a hurry. This power is not just a tool. It reflects your condition. As long as you are afraid, she will destroy you. Chapter 17. Discord between determination and reason. Naruto stood in the middle of a ruined forest. His body was still trembling from the uncontrolled release of chakra. The tattoos on his skin flickered with a faint light, reminding him that there was enormous power hidden within him that he could not yet control. Ahead in the distance, a column of smoke rose from the dark sky, black and thick, as if a warning of approaching disaster. Kakashi, standing nearby, carefully watched Naruto. He saw the boy trying to restrain himself, but he also understood that there was a struggle going on inside him. Naruto, he said softly, you know it's a trap. If we rush there now, you might lose control of yourself. We must consider our actions. Naruto clenched his fists, his gaze fixed on the horizon. We don't have time, he shouted. If someone is in danger out there, I can't just stand by and watch. Sakura came closer, her voice sounding worried. Naruto, Kakashi-sensei is right. If you can't control your power, you risk not only yourself, but all of us. Naruto turned to them, his face contorted with tension. Do you think I don't understand this? He said. But if we wait, someone might die. I can't let this happen. Deep inner struggle. Naruto stepped aside, trying to get his thoughts in order. Kurama's voice echoed in his mind again. You're at a crossroads, boy. If you go there now without mastering your power, you risk ruining everything. But if you stay to train, you might lose those you're trying to protect. I know, Kurama, Naruto screamed in his mind. But what should I do? How to choose between what is right and what is needed? Kurama was silent for a moment, then replied, You have already made a choice. You have always acted according to your heart. But now you need to learn to combine your determination with your intelligence. Your strength is a reflection of you. When in doubt, it becomes chaotic. Find your way, Naruto. These words stuck in his mind. He realized that haste could lead to disaster. But there was no time. The Akatsuki were already moving, and every second could cost someone their life. Rode into the unknown. Kakashi and Sakura approached Naruto, trying not to put pressure on him, but ready to support him. What did you decide? Kakashi asked. Naruto raised his head, his gaze firm. We're going, but I promise you that I will be careful. If I feel like I can't handle it, I'll stop. Sakura nodded, her face tense. Then we'll be close. You are not alone in this battle. Sai, who had been silent before, added, If we know it's a trap, we can use it against them. We will have an advantage. The team quickly moved towards the smoke. Their journey was quiet but intense. Each of them understood that this was no ordinary mission. It was a clash not only with enemies, but also with myself. Akatsuki's new trap. As they approached the source of the smoke, they were greeted by a field of destruction. The ground was scorched, trees felled, and a massive figure stood in the center. It was Kisame, who was holding his Samahata sword in his hands. His smile was sinister. "Finally," he said, looking at Naruto. "I was waiting for you, boy." Next to him stood Hidan, who was twirling his braid with a mad gleam in his eyes. "Well, shall we play?" He grinned ominously. Kakashi immediately took a fighting stance. "This is not an ordinary attack. They want to drag us down." "We know it's a trap," Naruto shouted. "But that doesn't change anything. We will fight." Kisame laughed. "Great, show us what you can do." Explosion of power. Naruto attacked first, his body enveloped in a golden cloak of chakra. His speed and strength were incredible, but he felt he didn't have complete control over them. Each movement was accompanied by flashes of light from his tattoos, but they pulsated chaotically, as if resisting. Kisame easily deflected his first attack, using Samahata to absorb chakra. "You are strong, but you are in too much of a hurry," he said. "Your power is destroying you." Hidan, meanwhile, rushed at Kakashi and Sakura. His attacks were fast and merciless. Sai tried to help, but Hidan was too clever. Naruto fought with all his might, but his chakra began to spiral out of control. Kurama's cloak became brighter, but also more dangerous. He felt like he could explode at any moment. "You're losing yourself, boy," Kurama growled. "Stop, otherwise you will destroy everyone around you." "I can't stop," Naruto shouted. "If I stop, they will get hurt." Awakening a new force. In a moment of despair, Naruto felt his tattoos begin to change. They glowed brighter, and a stream of energy erupted from them and surrounded his body. He felt something new awakening inside him. Kisame froze, looking at Naruto. "What kind of power is this?" he said, his voice sounding surprised. Naruto looked at his hands. His chakra cloak was now thick and stable, and his tattoos formed a pattern that pulsed evenly. "This is my strength," he said. He directed his new energy at Kisame, and a powerful blow knocked him back. Even Samehada could not absorb this power completely. Chapter 18. Comprehension through illusion. Naruto stood in the training ground surrounded by his comrades. His body was still feeling the effects of his recent battle with Kisame. The new power that had awakened within him seemed immense, but also uncontrollable. His Tomo tattoos were now pulsating as if they were alive, but Naruto knew that was just the tip of the iceberg. "We cannot allow you to go into battle until you learn to control this power," Kakashi said, his voice stern but caring. "This could lead to disaster." "But how? We don't have time. The Akatsuki won't wait for me to deal with this," Naruto exclaimed, his gaze intense. Sasuke, who had been silently standing aside, stepped forward. "Then we use a method that will speed up the process. I'll help you." Naruto turned to him, disbelief flashing in his eyes. "You? And how are you going to do this?" Sasuke activated his sharingan and his eyes flashed red. "Genjutsu. We will create a world for you where you can explore your power. Time flows differently there. One day in reality can become a week inside the illusion." Kakashi frowned. "It's risky, Sasuke." The genjutsu could harm his mind if he couldn't handle the strain. "We have no other choice," Sasuke replied. "If Naruto wants to understand his strength, this is the best way." Naruto thought for a moment, but then nodded. "I can handle it. Let's get started." "Dive into genjutsu." Sasuke made the seals, and an illusion began to form around Naruto. The world gradually blurred, and soon he found himself in a completely different place. It was a vast desert stretching to the horizon. There was tension in the air, as if the very nature of this world was resisting his presence. Sasuke stood in front of him, but his image was slightly blurry. "Here you can focus on your new strength," he said, "but remember, I can't help you. This is a world created by your mind. You have to handle it yourself." "Okay," Naruto replied, looking at his hands. His tattoos began to shine more intensely as he attempted to activate his power. First attempts. Naruto started by repeating what happened in his fight with Kisame. He focused on the chakra, feeling it move within his body. But every attempt to activate the power led to chaos. Whirlwinds of energy burst out of him, destroying everything around him. "Why is this so difficult?" he shouted, falling to his knees. Kurama's voice rang through his mind. "You're trying to control something you don't understand. This force does not obey you because you see it as a tool, but she is a part of you." "Then how can I fix this?" Naruto asked. "Listen to your body. Don't try to force it to obey. Your tattoos are the key. They are connected with your nature, but as long as you fight with yourself, you will not be able to use them fully." The path to understanding. Naruto began to meditate. He sat on the hot sand, closed his eyes, and concentrated on his sensations. Gradually, he began to feel his tattoos becoming part of a single flow of energy. They were no longer just symbols on the skin, but became something alive. He raised his hand and the tattoos shone with an even light. Chakra vortices began to form around him, but they were no longer chaotic. They moved smoothly, obeying his thoughts. It works, he whispered, opening his eyes. Suddenly, Kurama's silhouette appeared in front of him. Not bad, boy, said the fox. But this is just the beginning. If you want to use this power, you must learn to control its form. Form? Naruto was surprised. Yes, Kurama replied. You must create something unique that will reflect your essence. Technology in action. Naruto started experimenting. He was trying to create a technique that would use his tattoos as a source of power. The chakra vortexes began to take shape like spirals that revolved around his arms. He concentrated and released the technique, directing it into the void. A powerful explosion lit up the desert, and Naruto felt his body fill with power. I did it, he shouted, his voice full of joy. Sasuke, who had been watching him from the shadow of the illusion all this time, nodded. You did it. But now you need to return to reality and experience it in real combat. Breaking out of genjutsu. As the illusion began to fade, Naruto opened his eyes. He was still on the training ground, surrounded by his comrades. His body was wet with sweat, but he felt stronger than ever. How are you? Kakashi asked, coming closer. Naruto smiled. I did it. Now I know how to use this power. Sasuke chuckled as he put away his sharingan. This is just the beginning, Naruto. You still have to prove that you can use it in real combat. Chapter 19. Time to act. Several days had passed since Naruto mastered his new power through Sasuke's genjutsu. He felt his body filled with power and his mind become clearer. The Tomo tattoos no longer pulsated chaotically, but glowed smoothly, as if they had become part of his essence. This power was now not just a tool, but also an extension of his will. However, Naruto knew that strength wasn't everything. The Akatsuki wouldn't stop, and waiting for their next move meant giving them an advantage. Together with his friends, he decided that it was time to strike first. Team gathering. There was tension in the Hokage's office. Naruto, Kakashi, Sakura, Sai, and Sasuke gathered around a map that had information about the supposed location of the Akatsuki base marked on it. Tsunade sat at the table, her gaze focused. We have collected information, she began. Our scouts discovered activity of Akatsuki members in the northern mountains. This place could be their temporary base. If that's the case, we have to act quickly, Kakashi said. But attacking their base is not just a risk. This is war. I'm ready, Naruto answered firmly. We can't wait any longer. The longer they remain in the shadows, the stronger their influence becomes. If we destroy this base, it will be a serious blow to their plans. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a slight smirk. Are you sure you're ready? Last time your power almost went out of control. I can handle it now, Naruto replied. And I'm not alone. We'll do this together. Tsunade nodded, her gaze softening. Fine, but be careful. Akatsuki are not ones to be underestimated. Path to base. The team moved quickly and silently, overcoming mountain paths. Sasuke walked ahead, his sharingan activated to spot any traps or ambushes. Kakashi followed him, ready for any threat. Naruto, Sakura, and Sai walked behind, focused and tense. What if this is also a trap? Sakura asked quietly. Even so, it doesn't change our plans, Naruto replied. We must be prepared for any outcome. Sasuke stopped and raised his hand, signaling everyone to freeze. There's chakra ahead, he said. Strong but hidden. They know we're here. Kakashi activated his sharingan. We're getting closer. Stay together. Ambush. As the team approached the entrance to the base, the forest around them suddenly came to life. From the shadows emerged figures wearing cloaks with red clouds. It was Deidara and Zetsu. Their gazes were full of confidence, and an intense aura hovered around them. Well, who came to us? Said Deidara, his voice sounding mocking. Have you decided to attack our base? How nice. It ends here, Naruto answered firmly, his body beginning to become covered in a golden cloak of chakra. Deidara grinned, making a seal with his hands. Then let's see what you're capable of. The battle begins. Deidara rose into the air on his clay dragon, firing explosive charges. Kakashi and Sasuke rushed forward to stop him, while Naruto remained to fight Zetsu, who split into two, creating chaotic attacks. You have become stronger, boy, Zetsu said, his black half speaking mockingly. But is this enough to cope with me? Naruto concentrated his chakra into his tattoos while dodging the attacks. An energy shield began to form around him, pushing Zetsu back. You have no idea how much stronger I have become, Naruto said, his voice full of confidence. He used a new technique created through training in genjutsu. A sphere formed in his hands, surrounded by rotating vortices. It was an improved Rasengan, enhanced by his new power. Try this! Naruto shouted as he aimed his attack at Zetsu. A powerful explosion of chakra tore through the ground, throwing the enemy far back. Air battle. Meanwhile, Sasuke and Kakashi fought Deidara. His explosive attacks destroyed everything around him, but through their combined strategy, they were able to knock him back to the ground. Sasuke, using his sharingan, predicted his movement and delivered a precise blow, destroying one of his clay clones. "You won't run away!" Sasuke shouted, rushing forward. Deidara grinned, his hands quickly creating more clay figures. "Are you so sure of your victory? But I'm not done yet." Victory is near. Naruto, having finished with Zetsu, joined the others. His chakra cloak glowed brightly and his tattoos pulsed evenly. "Deidara, you're next," he said, his voice firm. Together with Kakashi and Sasuke, they surrounded the enemy. Naruto used a new technique, creating an energy vortex that covered Deidara, rendering him unable to move. "This is the end," Naruto said. Chapter 20. Battle at the Lair. After the defeat of Akatsuki's temporary base, Naruto's team continued on its way. Ahead lay the main goal, the real lair of the enemy. The terrain became increasingly hostile. Dense forests gave way to rocky cliffs, and the air became filled with a heavy sense of threat. Every step brought them closer to a confrontation on which the fate of the entire village and, perhaps, the world depended. Kakashi carefully studied the area, his gaze focused. "Everything is too quiet here," he said, stopping. "This doesn't seem like an accident." "They know we're coming," Sasuke said, activating his sharingan. "This place screams trap." Naruto stopped next to him, his tomo tattoos beginning to glow slightly. "We can handle it. This time we must put an end to it." Real lair. When they reached a deep crevice hidden between the rocks, a cave entrance opened before them, guarded by a massive chakra barrier seal. Sasuke studied her, his gaze turning cold. "This is a barrier that requires enormous force to remove. If we break it, they'll immediately know we're here." "Then we'll do it quickly," Naruto said firmly, making a seal with his hands. Sakura came closer, her gaze filled with concern. "You are sure? It may be dangerous." Naruto turned to her, his eyes filled with determination. "We have no other choice." He focused his chakra, and the tattoos began to glow brighter. With a powerful burst of energy, Naruto destroyed the barrier. The entrance to the cave opened, but steps were heard from inside. Akatsuki members emerged from the shadows. Konan, Kakuzu, and Itachi. "Welcome," Itachi said coldly, his sharingan flashing in the darkness. "You came at the wrong time." Start of the battle. The battle began instantly. Konan attacked, creating whirlwinds of paper blades that filled the entire space. Sakura and Sai rushed towards her to distract her. Kakuzu activated his 5 hearts, releasing streams of lightning and fire that destroyed the walls of the cave. Kakashi and Sasuke took over, leaving Naruto alone with Itachi. "You've gotten stronger, Naruto," Itachi said, watching him. "But power without control is the path to destruction." "It's not for you to judge me," Naruto shouted, rushing forward. His chakra-enhanced fist collided with Itachi's sharingan, who instantly responded with a genjutsu. Naruto felt the world around him freeze as an illusion began to take over his mind. But Kurama's voice was heard inside him. "Don't give in, boy! You are stronger than this!" Naruto concentrated and his power broke the genjutsu, surprising Itachi. "You have learned to resist me," he admitted, activating the Mangekyo Sharingan. Kakashi's sacrifice. Meanwhile, the battle with Kakuzu was going hard. His elements were powerful and chaotic, forcing Kakashi and Sasuke to their limits. But Kakuzu turned out to be more cunning. Just as Kakashi prepared to deliver the finishing blow, one of the enemy's threads shot forward, piercing his body. "Kakashi-sensei!" Naruto shouted, turning around. Sakura and Sai froze for a moment, their faces showing shock. Sasuke gritted his teeth and rushed forward to repel the next attack. Kakashi fell to the ground as his eyes began to close. He looked up at Naruto. "Don't give up!" he whispered before his body went limp. Naruto's wrath. Kakashi's death brought out something in Naruto that he had never experienced before. His heart was filled with pain and rage. The tattoos on his body began to pulsate, and a cloak of chakra enveloped his figure, becoming more and more vibrant and dense. The kurama inside him began to worry. "You're losing control, boy. If you continue, you could destroy everything around you." But Naruto didn't listen anymore. His anger overwhelmed him, and the energy began to burst out. For the first time, the tomo tattoos began to merge into a complex pattern, forming marks on his body that looked like ancient runes. "I won't let you leave," Naruto shouted, his voice sounding like the echo of many voices. Incredible power. Naruto directed all his energy towards Kakuzu. A powerful chakra whirlwind destroyed the enemy's defenses, destroying his hearts one by one. Even the power of the 5 elements could not withstand Naruto's new power. "What kind of power is this?" Kakuzu shouted before his body collapsed. But Naruto didn't stop. His anger was directed at all the Akatsuki members remaining in the cave. Konan and Itachi tried to attack him, but Naruto's chakra deflected their blows like a protective dome. Sasuke, seeing Naruto's condition, ran up to him. "You're losing yourself," he shouted. If you continue, you will destroy everything around you. But Naruto was blinded by rage. His body began to emit light, and the energy became increasingly unstable. The cave began to collapse, and Sasuke knew he had to act quickly. Chapter 21, Revenge turned into a mission. Kakashi's death changed everything. Naruto stood in the middle of the ruins of the cave, his fists clenched and his body shrouded in the remains of a golden chakra cloak. Anger and pain did not let him go. He knew he would no longer wait for the Akatsuki to strike again. Now he will be the one who attacks first. They will pay for everything they've done, he said, his voice low and full of determination. Sasuke, standing nearby, looked at Naruto carefully. Are you going to go alone, he asked. This is suicide. I have no choice, Naruto replied. They destroyed everything that was dear to me. If I don't stop them, no one will. Sakura came closer, her face full of worry. We must go with you. You can't do it alone. But Naruto shook his head. This is my battle. I won't let anyone else take risks. I know you want to help, but this time I have to do it myself. Going alone, Naruto left camp under cover of darkness. He left a note for Sasuke and Sakura explaining his decision. He knew they would try to stop him if they knew where he was going, but he couldn't wait any longer. His first goal is to find information about the location of the remaining Akatsuki members. To do this, he went to the nearest village, known for its mercenaries and spies. Using Kurama's power, he forced one of the informants to reveal the location of the base where Hidan and Kakuzu could be located. This is just the beginning, Naruto said, looking at the map. Battle with Hidan. Naruto found Hidan in a small temple surrounded by ruined statues. Hidan, as always, was immersed in his religious rituals. But when he saw Naruto, his face lit up with a sinister smile. Oh, who do we have here? The boy who lost his teacher, he said, clutching his braid. Have you come to become my new victim? Naruto didn't answer. His face remained cold and his tomo tattoos began to glow. He concentrated his chakra and a golden cloak enveloped his body. You will pay for everything you have done, he said, rushing forward. The battle was fierce. Hidan used his ritual techniques to try to bind Naruto, but his speed and strength exceeded his enemy's expectations. Each of Naruto's strikes was precise and powerful, leaving deep marks on the ground. At some point, Hidan was able to perform his ritual, staining his braid with Naruto's blood. But instead of panicking, Naruto used this opportunity to trick Hidan. He released a powerful blast of chakra, destroying the altar and preventing the enemy from completing the ritual. This is the end, Naruto said as he activated his new technique. He created a huge Rasengan, enhanced by his new power, and aimed it at Hidan. The explosion destroyed everything around, leaving only a crater where the enemy stood. Next target, Deidara. After defeating Hidan, Naruto headed north to where Deidara was believed to be. His path ran through mountains covered with snow and ice. But even the cold couldn't stop him. Deidara, finding Naruto approaching, prepared to fight. He rose into the air on his clay dragon, firing explosive charges. You've gotten stronger, Naruto, he said, laughing, but my works of art will surpass yours. Naruto didn't take his eyes off his enemy. He used his new power to increase his speed while dodging explosions. His tattoos began to glow brighter, and Kurama's chakra enhanced his attacks. You call this art? Naruto shouted as he activated a new technique. He created a chakra vortex that took the form of a huge shuriken and threw it at Deidara. The technique was so powerful that the explosion tore the dragon's wings, causing him to crash to the ground. How did you become so strong? Deidara wheezed, barely getting to his feet. Because I have a reason to fight, Naruto replied. You will never understand this. He ended the fight by releasing a powerful stream of chakra that consumed the enemy, anger and purpose. Naruto continued on his way, destroying Akatsuki members one by one. Each victory brought him closer to his main goal, Tobi. But with each fight, he felt his anger growing. Kurama, watching him, began to worry. You get stronger, but you also get colder, he said. If you don't learn to control your anger, it will consume you. I don't have time for doubts, Kurama, Naruto replied. I have to finish this before they destroy everything. Chapter 22, Path of Revenge, Meeting Itachi. Naruto walked through mountains, forests, and wastelands, his body and mind consumed with one thing, the destruction of the Akatsuki. One by one, their members fell before his inexorable fury. Hidan, Kakuzu, Deidara, and even Konan were unable to resist the power that Naruto awakened after Kakashi's death. However, with each victory, his heart became heavier. Anger became fuel for him, but it also consumed him from the inside. They must pay for everything, Naruto repeated to himself like a mantra, each time remembering moments of pain and loss. But deep down, something was bothering him. Meeting with Itachi. When Naruto reached the next supposed Akatsuki lair, he was ready for another battle. His tomo tattoos glowed brightly, and his chakra cloak pulsed with tension. But inside the cave, he did not meet the one he expected. Itachi stood in front of him, His figure was calm, his sharingan eyes glowed in the twilight, and his facial expression remained calm. You! Naruto breathed, his voice shaking with rage. You are one of them. You killed your own clan and now you're working with them. Itachi didn't seem to react to the accusations. He just looked at Naruto as if studying him. Naruto, he finally spoke, his voice quiet and calm. You have changed. Anger has made you stronger, but it has also blinded you. Shut up! Naruto shouted, his chakra flaring brighter. I will destroy you like everyone else. Itachi sighed as if he knew it couldn't be avoided. If this is your path, he said, activating the Mangekyo Sharingan, then show me what you can do. Battle and illusion. Naruto rushed forward, his attacks lightning fast and powerful. He released a new enhanced Rasengan, but Itachi easily dodged it, as if anticipating his every move. Itachi's eyes then began to roll, and Naruto was trapped in a genjutsu. The world around him has changed. He found himself in the dark, surrounded by thousands of clones of himself. Each of them looked at him with hatred. What is this? Naruto shouted, trying to attack, but his blows went through the clones. Itachi's voice came from the darkness. These are not your enemies, it's yourself. Look what you've done to your heart. Suddenly, images of those he had already destroyed began to appear around Naruto. Hidan, Deidara, Konan. They stood before him, blaming him for their deaths. You didn't become a hero, Naruto, Hidan said, his voice filled with mockery. You have become just like us. Shut up, Naruto shouted, but his words sounded weak. The images continued to speak, each whisper increasing his doubts. Awakening the truth. Inside the illusion, Naruto felt his anger begin to fade, giving way to fear and guilt. But at that moment, Kurama's voice was heard in his mind. Don't give in, boy, said the fox. He shows you not the truth but your weakness. It's not you. But isn't he right? Naruto whispered. Am I not destroying them as they destroy others? You fight for peace, not destruction, Kurama growled. Don't forget why you started this path. Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated. His chakra flared, shattering the illusion. He found himself back in the cave in front of Itachi, who was looking at him intently. You did it, Itachi said, but you still don't understand. Conversation with Itachi. Naruto stood in front of Itachi, his breathing heavy but his anger beginning to fade. Now he was listening. Why did you do this? Why are you working with them? Naruto asked, his voice filled with doubt. Itachi looked away, his face remaining calm. We each have our own truth, Naruto. I'm not what you think. Everything I did for the sake of peace. But this path required a lot from me. Did you kill your clan for peace? Naruto clenched his fists. How is this possible? Sometimes, to protect many, you have to sacrifice a little, Itachi answered quietly. But you're different. You can find a path that doesn't require such sacrifices. Naruto froze. His anger gave way to doubt. What are you trying to say? He asked. You are fighting the Akatsuki because they destroyed what you loved, Itachi said. But your path leads you to a place where you can become just like them. If you want to win, you have to find another way. Changing path. Itachi disappeared as suddenly as he had appeared, leaving Naruto alone in the cave. His words stuck in the boy's head like a thorn. Naruto knew that his goal had not changed. He still had to stop the Akatsuki. But now he realized that his anger was his weakness, not his strength. I have to find another way, he said, clenching his fists. I won't let my anger control me anymore. Chapter 23. Final Battle. Confrontation with Akatsuki. The horizon was overcast with black clouds as Naruto approached the Akatsuki's final lair. His heart beat stronger than ever, and his tomo tattoos glowed bright gold, reflecting his inner determination. Everything he was going for led him here. Today he was supposed to destroy his enemies and finally bring the peace he fought for. But he knew that this path would not be easy. Standing in front of him were the last surviving Akatsuki members, Tobi, Pain, Konan, Hidan, and Zetsu. The fight was inevitable, and Naruto was ready to end this threat once and for all. Stage 1. Pain and the 6 Paths. As soon as Naruto took a step forward, Pain raised his hands, activating his 6 paths. Standing before him were 6 creatures, each possessing a unique power, which together posed a threat to any opponent. Do you really think you can beat us all? Pain asked coldly. You don't understand what real pain is. Naruto only responded with a determined look as his tattoos flared and his chakra swirled around him, creating a powerful barrier. The 6 paths of pain moved. The path of life began to attack at high speed, using its long arms to grab Naruto. But Naruto reacted instantly, activating a technique that allowed him to use his speed to the limit. He disappeared, and the next second he was behind Pain. A powerful fist blow, enhanced by chakra, sent the path of life into the ground. You can't defeat us all, Pain said, and all the other paths began to attack simultaneously. The Void Path used its ability to pull Naruto in using gravity, causing him to fall. But Naruto, sensing danger, concentrated and released a powerful stream of chakra, which destroyed the pull effect, sending the void path flying into the air. "That's not all," Naruto shouted as he activated a new technique. He created a giant chakra vortex that engulfed several paths at once, destroying them. Only the Dev path and the Asura path remained. Stage 2. Konan and Hedon. Konan, watching the destruction of her comrades, quickly reacted by creating huge paper blades. She attacked Naruto, but he dodged it by using his technique to create protective chakra barriers. The blades cut the air, but did not penetrate the defense. "You can't defend yourself against me," Konan said, her body filled with paper again, and she directed them to attack. Naruto, realizing the power of her attacks, realized that he needed to change his strategy. He created 2 clones that began to attack Konan from different directions. One of them distracted her, and the second delivered a targeted blow to her heart from a chakra vortex, destroying her form. The moment Konan was neutralized, Naruto felt movement behind him. Hidan, the immortal fanatic, was already standing with a scythe, ready to attack. His braids sparkled, but Naruto managed to dodge. Hidan tried again and again to deliver the killing blow, but each time Naruto was one step ahead. He realized that he could not simply defeat Hidan directly, because he was immortal. "You can't kill me," Hidan said with a grin. "I live forever." "But I can make you suffer," Naruto replied, activating his new technique. He created a chakra vortex around himself, directing it directly at Hidan. The energy compressed, causing his body to break and collapse. Hidan collapsed. His body could not withstand such pressure, and although he did not die, he could no longer move. Stage 3. Pain and Tobi. With the rest of Akatsuki neutralized, Pain and Tobi were Naruto's last remaining opponents. They stood amidst the ruined battlefield, surrounded by craters from previous clashes. Dust hung in the air, and the tension was palpable, as if nature itself was holding its breath before the decisive moment. Pain took a step forward, his rinnegan eyes cold and unwavering. His only remaining body, the Dev path, exuded incredible power. Dust rose up around him as he activated his gravity technique. "Do you really think you can defeat me?" said Pain. "My strength is the embodiment of the pain that unites the world," Naruto replied, his gaze firm. "The world is not created through pain. It is created through understanding. I will prove it by defeating you." Pain's gravity punch. Pain raised his hand, and at the same moment the ground began to tremble. His Shinra Tensei, divine push technique, smashed everything around. A huge gravitational pulse headed straight towards Naruto. The impact was so powerful that it lifted fragments of earth and rock into the air, creating a huge wave of destruction. But Naruto was ready. He focused his chakra and his tomo tattoos flashed with a blinding light. A golden chakra barrier formed around him, neutralizing most of the destructive effects. "You're strong," Naruto said, gritting his teeth. "But I'm no longer that boy who could be suppressed." Naruto counterattack. Naruto activated his new technique, an improved Rasengan with 9 tomo that spun around him like a whirlwind. He directed all this power directly at Pain, but Dev Path instantly activated Bansho Tenin, overall consuming attraction pulse, to change the trajectory of the attack. The Rasengan exploded to the side, destroying the rocks but did not reach its target. "You're not fast enough," Pain said, his voice cold. Naruto, realizing that the force of one blow would not bring victory, created several clones at once that surrounded Pain. Each clone began attacking from different directions, distracting the enemy. Naruto used this time to prepare his new technique. Focusing his chakra, he created a giant Rasen Shuriken, which was surrounded by glowing golden whirlwinds. It was a technique capable of breaking through even the most powerful defenses. "This is the end!" Naruto shouted, throwing his attack. Pain tried to defend himself with a gravitational barrier, but the power of Naruto's attack was so great that the barrier cracked and then collapsed. Rasen Shuriken hit its target, destroying Pain's body and leaving a deep crater in the ground. Tobi's appearance. When the dust settled, Naruto turned around and Tobi appeared in front of him. His mask was silent, and his voice sounded like an echo. "You impressed me, Naruto," he said. "You destroyed Pain, but you can't even imagine how much pain still awaits you." Tobi folded the seals, and his body became intangible. He disappeared, and then suddenly appeared behind Naruto, throwing a punch with his chakra-enhanced fist. Naruto managed to dodge, but this maneuver made him realize how dangerous Tobi was. "Your techniques are useless against me," Tobi said, his voice full of confidence. "You won't be able to deal a single blow to me." Breaking through Tobi's defenses, Naruto attempted to attack Tobi with multiple clones, each using a Rasengan, but Tobi became intangible each time, avoiding damage. For the first time in a long time, Naruto felt despair. "You won't be able to defeat him until you understand how his technique works," Kurama spoke in Naruto's mind. "His power is related to space. He becomes intangible, but only for a moment. You must hit him just when he becomes vulnerable again. Then I should be faster than him, Naruto replied, his face showing determination. He activated Kurama's chakra mode, allowing him to enhance his reflexes to unimaginable levels. Naruto created even more clones, each of which began to attack Toby from different directions in order to force him to activate Kamui as often as possible. Decisive blow? When Toby became intangible to evade the clone's attack, Naruto used the true technique. He created a second Rasengan in advance, hiding it behind the first clone. As Toby became corporeal again to counterattack, the second Rasengan reached his target. "This is impossible!" Toby shouted as the powerful energy of the Rasengan broke through his defenses. His mask cracked and Naruto saw the face of the man behind it. Toby froze for a moment, but then retreated, activating what was left of his power to hide. Bottom line, pain fell and Toby was forced to retreat, but Naruto knew that this was not the end. Despite his victory, the threat of Akatsuki still loomed over the world. "I'll end this once and for all," Naruto said, looking towards the horizon. His strength was at its limit, but his resolve remained unwavering. Chapter 24. Toby's Last Card. After the battle with Akatsuki, Naruto felt tired, but knew there was no time to rest. His body was exhausted, and his wounds were reminders of the severity of past battles. However, the hardest part was yet to come. Toby, despite the defeat of his allies, was not defeated. Naruto knew that this man would not stop until he carried out his evil plan. Somewhere in the shadows, far from the battlefield, Toby stood among the ruins. His mask was half destroyed, revealing part of his face. Next to him, hidden in the darkness, was Zetsu, the last of his loyal allies. "Everything is going according to plan," Toby said, his voice cold and emotionless. "It's time to move on to the last stage. We will awaken the Juubi and complete Tsukuyomi." Zetsu nodded silently, his black and white halves whispering to each other, as if confirming the words of their master. "But Naruto has become stronger," Toby continued. "He proved that he can overcome any obstacle. To defeat him, we need more than brute force. We need to make him see something that will break his spirit." Naruto is preparing for the finals. At this time, Naruto was in the camp, where he was surrounded by his allies. Sasuke, Sakura, Tsunade, and other shinobi listened attentively to his story about the battle. "Toby used a technique that was almost impossible to overcome," Naruto said, his voice hoarse with fatigue. "But I found a way to break through his defenses. If he appears again, I am ready to fight him." Sasuke frowned, his gaze intense. "Toby is playing the long game," he said. "If he's still alive, that means he's preparing something bigger. We cannot underestimate him." "You're right," Naruto replied. "But I can't just wait. He'll strike again, and this time I won't let him do any harm." Sakura came closer, her face full of worry. "We fight together, Naruto. You are not alone." But Naruto, although he appreciated the support of his friends, knew that the final battle would be his personal responsibility. Toby's plan. Deep underground, in a hidden place, Toby and Zetsu were completing preparations for the awakening of the Juubi. A huge vessel filled with chakra from captured tailed creatures stood in the center of the ancient temple. "Everything is ready," Zetsu said, his voice full of anticipation. "Only the last detail remains." Toby walked up to the vessel, his hand touching the cold metal. "Juubi will become the embodiment of a force that will change the world," he said. "Naruto Uzumaki will witness the new order created through the infinite Tsukuyomi." But Toby knew that Naruto wouldn't go down without a fight. He prepared one last trap to force him to come. Challenge Naruto. The next morning, a wounded shinobi arrived at Naruto's camp with a message. His body was covered in cuts, and his clothes were burned. "Toby," he croaked before losing consciousness. "He demands that you come alone. He is waiting for you in the ancient temple on the border of the land of wind." Sasuke instantly tensed. "It's a trap," he said. "You can't go alone." "But if I don't go, he will destroy everyone who gets in his way," Naruto replied. "This is my fight. I have to stop him." Tsunade stepped forward. "Do you understand that this is the final battle? If he awakens the Juubi, the entire world will be at risk." Naruto nodded. "I know, but I won't let him have his way." Path to the final battle. Naruto set off. His steps were firm and his heart was full of determination. He knew Toby would be ready for anything, but now he wasn't afraid. His power was more than just chakra or tattoos. It was the strength of his friends, his will, and his faith in the future. As Naruto approached the temple, the sky became even darker, as if nature itself sensed what was coming. The entrance to the temple was open, and Toby's voice echoed inside. "Welcome, Naruto. I've been waiting for you." Chapter 25. The Final Battle, Deciding the Fate of the World. Naruto's footsteps echoed through the deserted halls of the ancient temple. The cold air and dark walls covered with mysterious writing seemed to absorb his tension. The tomo tattoos on Naruto's body glowed soft gold, illuminating the path before him. He felt the chakra in this place pulsate, becoming more dense and heavy. Every step brought him closer to Toby and perhaps the end of everything. In the center of the huge hall, surrounded by symbols of ancient rituals, stood Toby. His mask had been replaced with a new one, covered in cracks from the last battle, but his figure radiated confidence. Behind him stood a huge vessel, from which chakra oozed, radiating danger. It was the tailed chakra collected to awaken the Jubi. "You have come, Naruto," Toby said. His voice was cold, but there was a spark of triumph in it. "You turned out to be more stubborn than I thought. But this is the end of your journey." Naruto stopped, his gaze filled with determination. "You end up here, Toby. You've already lost, even if you don't understand it yet." Toby laughed, his laughter echoing throughout the hall. "Do you still think that the power of one person can change the world? You didn't understand anything. Pain is the only way to unite humanity. Infinite Tsukuyomi will be your salvation." First strike! Naruto didn't wait. His body flared with a golden cloak of chakra and he charged. His speed was incredible, and he appeared in front of Toby in an instant, striking. But as soon as his fist reached Toby, he became intangible, and the blow went through him. "Have you already forgotten that I'm invulnerable?" said Toby, becoming material again. He made the seals, and the hall was filled with streams of dark chakra. Naruto managed to retreat, dodging the blows, but felt that the space around him began to change. Toby's reality-breaking technique tried to trap him. "You can't escape this," Toby said, creating a new attack. Breaking through illusions. Naruto felt darkness surrounding him. It was a technique that tried to isolate his mind, force him to see his fears. Images of his friends being slain by the Akatsuki and the destroyed Konoha village began to appear around him. "This is all that will remain from your struggle," Toby's voice rang out. "Pain and devastation. You won't change anything." But Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on his inner chakra. Kurama's voice rang through his mind. "Don't let it take over your mind. It's just an illusion." Naruto took a deep breath and his tattoos glowed. The flow of chakra destroyed the illusion, returning him to reality. "You can't break me, Toby," he said, his voice full of confidence. "I've seen enough pain to know the world could be different." "Jubi awakens." Toby smiled under his mask. He raised his hand and the vessel behind him began to vibrate. The tailed chakra burst out, filling the hall with light and power. From this energy, a huge creature began to form. "Jubi." "This is the end, Naruto," Toby said, his voice sounding like a sentence. "Even you can't handle the Yubi's power." Naruto felt the monster's energy fill everything around him. His body trembled with tension, but he did not back down. He looked at Kurama in his mind. "This is our fight, Kurama. Are you with me?" "Until the very end, boy," Kurama replied, his voice full of determination. Naruto activated the full power of Kurama's chakra. His tomo tattoos morphed, becoming more complex, and his chakra cloak took on a new form, imbuing his body with incredible power. Final showdown. The Jubi released a powerful stream of energy that destroyed part of the temple, but Naruto managed to create a barrier of his chakra to deflect the blow. He rushed forward, channeling his new technique, the Nine Paths Rasengan. This Rasengan was surrounded by 9 spinning streams of chakra, which gave it incredible destructive power. Toby, standing on top of the ruined temple, watched Naruto's attack. "You are stronger than I thought," he said. "But this is not enough." He activated his Kamui in an attempt to dodge, but Naruto saw it coming. He created a clone that attacked Toby the moment he became material. The clone hit right at the point where Toby couldn't use his technique. The real Naruto took advantage of the moment and aimed the Nine Paths Rasengan straight at the Yubi. The attack broke through the monster's defenses, causing a huge explosion that tore the Yubi's energy apart. End of the battle. When the dust settled, Naruto stood among the ruins. The Jubi was destroyed, and Toby lay on the ground severely wounded. His mask was completely shattered, revealing the face of the man who was hiding behind it. "You," Toby whispered. "Do you think you won? But the world will still remain the same?" "The world will change," Naruto replied, his voice full of determination, "and I will do everything to achieve this." Chapter 26. A New Dawn in the Shadow of War. The dust had settled, and the temple that had once served as the center of Akatsuki's power was reduced to ruins. Naruto stood among the rubble, his breathing heavy and his body exhausted. The gaze was directed forward, to where Toby had just disappeared, hidden in the flow of his equipment. This victory did not bring relief. It was only a temporary respite, a reminder that the struggle for peace was not over yet. Aftermath of the battle. Naruto knelt down, feeling the last of Kurama's chakra slowly fade away. "You did it, boy!" Kurama's voice rang out in his mind. "But this is just the beginning. That bastard Toby won't back down. He's preparing for the final blow." "I know, Kurama," Naruto answered quietly, but now I understand what real strength is. It's not just about destroying enemies. This is the protection of those who are dear to me. Footsteps were heard in the distance. Naruto looked up and saw Sasuke, Sakura, and other allies approaching him. Their faces were exhausted, but full of determination. "You're alive," Sasuke said. His voice was stern, but there was hidden concern in it. "We saw the explosion. What happened to Tobi?" "He's gone," Naruto replied, getting to his feet. "But I don't think this is the end. He's preparing something more." Sakura moved closer, inspecting Naruto for wounds. "You were hurt badly," she said, her voice trembling. "You should have waited for us. We could handle it together." Naruto shook his head. "This was my battle, but now I know that I will not have to fight alone." New threats. Later, when the group returned to Konoha, Tsunade held a council. All the leaders of the village were present in the hall, as well as representatives of other allied forces. "The victory over Akatsuki was significant," Tsunade began, her voice stern. "But Tobi is still alive, and his plans to awaken the Jubi remain a threat." Sasuke crossed his arms and leaned forward. "He lost most of his allies. Now he acts alone. This makes him more dangerous than before. Desperate enemies are ready for anything." "We can't let him recover," Naruto said, his gaze firm. "We need to find him before he can regain his strength." Shikamaru, standing nearby, looked thoughtfully at the card lying on the table. "The problem is that he's a master at hiding. After he used Kamui, his traces disappeared. Even our best scouts can't find him." "Then we must prepare for his next move," Tsunade concluded. "He will attack when we are at our weakest." Naruto's internal conflict. Late at night, when everyone had already left, Naruto sat on the roof of his apartment looking at the starry sky. His thoughts were full of doubts. He knew that defeating Tobi would require everything he had. But is this enough? Kurama interrupted his thoughts. "You're afraid, boy. This is good. Only fools go into battle without fear." "I'm not afraid of fighting," Naruto answered quietly. "I'm afraid of what I might lose. If I lose, it's the end for everyone." Kurama snorted. "You won't lose. You are Naruto Uzumaki. You've come further than anyone else. Now everything depends on your determination." Shadows in the distance. Meanwhile, somewhere far away, in a hidden cave, Tobi sat on a throne of stone. His mask was removed, and his face was illuminated by the faint glow of chakra flowing from a small vessel. "They think they've won," he said, his voice filled with contempt, "but I didn't lose. They do not understand that my plans extend far beyond their understanding." Zetsu stood next to him, his black and white halves whispering quietly. "We lost the Jubi, but we didn't lose our chance," Zetsu said. "There are other ways." "Yes," Tobi agreed. "We will make them believe that they are safe. And then we'll strike a blow they can't prevent." Naruto's decision. The next morning, Naruto gathered his closest allies. Sasuke, Sakura, Shikamaru, and Kakashi. He told them about his plan. "We cannot sit idly by," he began. "Tobi is weak now, but it won't be for long. We must find him and put an end to his plans once and for all." Sasuke nodded. "I'm with you. This fight will be the last." Sakura, although worried, nodded. "We can do it if we stick together." Shikamaru looked thoughtfully at the map. "Then we need to focus on finding traces of his next move. I'll start by analyzing all the points where he could hide." Kakashi, who had been silent until then, finally spoke. "Naruto, you've grown up. You have become the leader the Fourth would like you to be. But remember, your power is not only in your chakra. She's among your friends." Chapter 27. Next step. Naruto stood in the center of a gathering of his closest allies. Around him were faces he knew and trusted. Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and Tsunade. They all looked at him expectantly. Naruto felt the weight of their gazes, but instead of fear, there was determination in his heart. "We've allowed the Akatsuki to dictate the course of events for too long," Naruto began. His voice sounded firm, but the pain of losses and battles experienced was felt in it. "Now we are going after them. We will find Tobi, stop him, and break this cycle of suffering." Sasuke nodded, his sharingan eyes flashing. "You are right, but we must be prepared for the fact that he is already waiting for us. He is not one to allow himself to be caught off guard." Shikamaru folded his hands and looked thoughtfully at the map. "It's obvious, but Tobi is a strategist. He always takes a move 2 steps forward. If we want to catch him, we must think the same way." Tsunade stood up from the table, her gaze serious. "We have limited time. The scouts reported that the remnants of his forces were gathering in the area of the old fortress in the Land of Stone. If Tobi was going to do anything, it would be there." "Then we'll move out immediately," Naruto said, his eyes shining with determination. "We won't give him a chance to complete his plan." The path to the last stronghold. The group split up. Shikamaru remained in Konoha to coordinate scouts and maintain communications. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi went to the Land of Stone, passing through mountains and forests. The path was difficult, but each of them understood how important this mission was. Do you think Toby is really weak? Sasuke asked when they stopped for a break. Naruto shook his head, looking at the starry sky. No. He has lost many of his allies, but his strength is still incredible. I feel like he's preparing something more than just another trap. Kakashi, looking at the map, added, Toby doesn't just fight for his ideals, he believes that his path is the only right one. This makes him even more dangerous. Sakura sat down next to Naruto and looked at him with concern. We are with you, Naruto. Don't forget this. No matter how strong he is, we will get through this together. Toby's trap. As they approached the old fortress, the air became filled with a strange heaviness. Naruto felt the chakra around them become denser. It looked like a trap. Stop, he said, raising his hand. There's something wrong here. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook, and black tentacles appeared around them and began to attack them. It was Zetsu, Toby's last remaining ally, who used his ability to merge with nature to create a trap. They knew we were coming, Sasuke said, activating his sharingan. Naruto, concentrating his chakra, created several clones that began to attack the tentacles, distracting them from the group. We must move on, he shouted. This is just a distraction. Sakura and Kakashi fought their way through the trap using their techniques, and the team continued towards the fortress. Confrontation with Toby. When they reached the main hall of the fortress, Toby was waiting for them. His figure was hidden in the darkness, but his voice echoed throughout the hall. I'm impressed you got here so quickly, he said, his tone full of mockery. But you came too late. My infinite Tsukuyomi is almost ready. Naruto stepped forward, his chakra cloak blazing again. We won't let you finish this. Everything you've done only destroys the world. Toby raised his hand, activating his Kamui technique. The space around him began to distort, and new illusions created by his technique began to appear from the shadows. You still don't understand, Naruto, Toby said. This world is doomed. The only way to bring him peace is to impose order by force. The battle begins. Illusions began to attack Naruto and his team. Sasuke used his sharingan to break them apart. Sakura created a barrier, and Kakashi focused on using his Kamui to counter Toby. Naruto, activating Kurama's power, rushed to attack. His Tomo tattoos glowed brighter, and he used his new technique, the Nine Paths Rasengan. This technique broke through Toby's defense, but he again used Kamui to avoid damage. You can't run away forever, Naruto shouted, creating a clone that attacked Toby from the other side. Chapter 28. Absorption of the Jubi. The battle in the hall of the ancient fortress reached its climax. Toby stood in front of a huge vessel that exuded the power of the Jubi, an ancient creature whose chakra was collected from all the tailed beasts. The air was filled with heavy energy that shook the walls and made the ground tremble underfoot. Naruto, exhausted but not broken, stood opposite him. His golden chakra cloak shone brighter than ever, and the 9 Tomo tattoos on his body began to pulsate, as if anticipating something great. You don't understand, Naruto, Toby said, his voice filled with cold triumph. The Jubi is not just a weapon. This is the end of your efforts. This is the beginning of a new world. My infinite Tsukuyomi will happen, and there is nothing you can do about it. Naruto clenched his fists, his eyes blazing with determination. You're wrong, Toby. I will end this right here and now. You can no longer threaten the world. Yubi awakens! Toby made the seals and the vessel exploded, releasing streams of destructive chakra. A gigantic silhouette rose from within, the Jubi, the embodiment of ancient power. His roar shook the air, and the chakra emanating from him was so strong that even the ground under his feet began to crack. Sakura and Sasuke, who were nearby, had difficulty staying on their feet. This is incredible, Sakura breathed, looking at the huge beast. Naruto, if you have a plan, it's time to use it, Sasuke said sharply, activating his rinnegan. Naruto stepped forward. His tattoos began to glow more intensely, and the chakra around him swirled into a powerful vortex. Kurama, are you ready? He said, turning to the Ninetales. You know this is crazy, boy, Kurama replied. But if anyone can do it, it's you. Fusion with Jubi. Naruto raised his hands, focusing all of his chakra. His tattoos began to glow with a blinding light, and he felt his body fill with a power he couldn't fully comprehend. The 9 Tomo tattoos began to expand, their patterns becoming more complex and began to cover his entire body, turning into a source of limitless power. What are you doing? Toby shouted, losing his cool for the first time. Naruto, without answering, took a step forward and extended his hands towards the Jubi. His tattoos began to interact with the monster's chakra. The vortexes of energy merged, and Naruto felt something incredible happening inside him. The Jubi's power began to be drawn into his body, absorbed by the tattoos. This is impossible, Toby shouted. The Jubi cannot be controlled. But Naruto didn't stop. He felt the Jubi's chakra intertwining with his own. Its power was incredible, but the 9 Tomo tattoos, created from the unique connection between his chakra and Kurama, allowed him to hold this flow of energy. Soon, the Jubi completely disappeared, and its power ended up inside Naruto. His body began to glow, as if he himself had become the sun. His chakra cloak transformed into a shining suit of armor, and Naruto's eyes took on a new pattern that combined features of the rinnegan and the tomo tattoos. The end of Toby. Toby stood in shock. His mask cracked to reveal his face, and for the first time he looked confused. You have become the embodiment of strength, he whispered. But you don't understand. This power will destroy you. She will destroy everything you try to protect. Naruto looked at him, his voice filled with calm and determination. You're wrong, Toby. Strength doesn't make me a destroyer. She makes me a protector. With these words, he raised his hand. A huge flow of energy surrounded Toby, making it impossible for him to escape. But Naruto didn't kill him. Instead, he used chakra to neutralize Toby, rendering him unable to use his techniques. You can't harm this world anymore, Naruto said. New world. When the battle ended, Naruto stood among the destroyed ruins. His friends approached him, their faces expressing surprise and alarm. Naruto, are you okay? Sakura asked, her voice trembling. Yes, he answered, his voice calm. The Yubi no longer threatens the world. His power is now mine. Sasuke, looking closely at Naruto, frowned. Do you understand what this means? You now have a power that no one can control. I know, Naruto replied, looking at his hands. But I won't let this power control me. I use it to protect the world. Chapter 29. Shadow of a New Power. After defeating Toby and absorbing the Jubi's power, the world finally found a temporary calm. Naruto returned to Konoha with his friends. The village greeted him with delight, but in his heart he felt that this calm was deceptive. The Jubi's power, now contained within his body, not only gave him incredible abilities, but also awakened something dark. Naruto stood on top of the Hokage's residence, looking out at the lights of the village that softly illuminated the streets. His golden chakra cloak no longer shone as brightly, but the tomo tattoos on his body continued to glow with a faint light, as if reflecting the remnants of the Yubi's energy. Kurama spoke, his voice echoing through Naruto's mind. You feel it, right? He growled. This power, it's not like mine. She is ancient and wild. You have absorbed it, but completely controlling it will be more difficult than you think. I know, Kurama, Naruto replied, looking into the distance. But I won't let this power consume me. I will use it to protect those I love. Easy to say, Kurama muttered, but don't forget that the Yubi is not just a creature. This is the concentration of all the tailed ones and the very nature of the chakra. She lives her own life, and you will have to be on your guard. Warning signs. The next day, when Naruto woke up, he felt something had changed. His body seemed heavy, and echoes of someone else's will sounded in his head. He stood up, looking in the mirror, and noticed that his eyes had changed again. The patterns of the rinnegan and the tomo mixed together, creating a new symbol that seemed alien and frightening. It's beginning, he said quietly, feeling new chakra awakening within him. A knock on the door distracted him. It was Sakura. Naruto, Tsunade wants to talk to you, she said, looking at him with slight concern. Are you okay? You look tired. It's okay, Naruto lied, hiding his condition. I'm going. All the most important people in the village gathered in Tsunade's office. Kakashi, Sasuke, Shikamaru, and even representatives from other villages arrived to discuss what to do next. Naruto entered the room and felt dozens of eyes turn to him. We need to discuss the threat Toby left behind, Tsunade began. Even after his defeat, traces of his activities remain. Besides, the Jubi's chakra is now inside of you, Naruto. We don't know how this will affect you or the world. Sasuke stepped forward, his gaze stern. Naruto, you have absorbed something that none of us can even imagine. Are you sure you can control this? Naruto looked at his friend, a spark of determination in his eyes. I can do it. I have to. Test of strength. A few days later, Naruto began to experience strange phenomena. His chakra sometimes went out of control, creating bursts of energy that destroyed everything around him. During one of his training sessions, he accidentally destroyed a section of the training ground when he was unable to contain the flow of chakra. Naruto, this is getting dangerous, Kakashi said as he watched the destruction. You must learn to control this power, otherwise it can destroy not only you, but everyone around you. I know, Naruto replied, his voice filled with inner tension, but it's more difficult than I thought. This chakra seems to be alive. She resists me. Sasuke, standing nearby, folded his hands. Then you need someone who can help. I am ready to be your opponent in battle so that you can understand how to control this power. Naruto looked at Sasuke and nodded. Fine, let's try it. Battle with Sasuke. Sasuke activated his sharingan and rinnegan. An aura of lightning surrounded his body. Naruto in turn released some of his new power. His chakra cloak flared again, but now its color was darker, with elements of black that resembled smoking shadows. The battle has begun. Naruto's blows were incredibly powerful, but his attacks were chaotic, as if the power within him was trying to get out of control. Sasuke used his eyes to predict Naruto's movements and dodge attacks. "You're not focused!" Sasuke shouted, dodging a huge Rasengan. "You allowed this power to control you, and not the other way around." Naruto gritted his teeth and concentrated. He remembered Kurama's words, reminding himself that the Jubi's strength should not become his weakness. With every second he became more focused, his strikes became more accurate, and his chakra began to obey. At the end of the fight, Naruto managed to create a new type of technique, nine-path fusion. It was the combination of all his skills that allowed him to contain the Jubi's power, directing it in one direction. Sasuke stopped, his eyes returning to normal. "You're starting to understand," he said, "but you still have a long way to go."